Chapter 588. Boss, what happened? In the public channel, the square-shaped warrior Wu Chaoji exclaimed. No helper, was he killed in a one-on-one duel? Xing Bing panicked. Xiao Rui sighed and shook her head. There was something she wanted to say. Why, are you so stubborn? This round is going to be difficult again. Yanheng couldn't hear the astonishment of his teammates. He was currently in ghost form and was waiting for a minute on the life altar in the base camp to revive. This was also known as facing the wall to reflect on his mistakes. Damn it, why was that shot so powerful? Why was I killed in one shot even when I was in full health and had a shield? Could it be that I really can't beat him? Yang Heng's confidence had a small gap. At this time, the blue team, which was Jinghai University's public channel, was in jubilation. Great job, Captain. You killed Yang Heng again. This time, it was a one-on-one duel. Those who slandered you have nothing to say. Feng Xiang spared no effort in shouting 666. Xiang Hui said faintly, in the last round, I always felt like we were holding them back, but we still won in the end, so I'm not surprised that old Bai could kill Yang Heng in a one-on-one duel. But Yang Heng has a water buff. Isn't he the Marine Fleet Admiral? Oh no, the Tide Gladiator? He's said to be invincible in water. Feng Xiang shouted. Okay, sit down. It's the basics. Bai Xiaowen smiled. He had successfully captured the gold mine's flag. The blue flag fluttered in the air above the gold mine. Before this, the other 4 resource buildings also had owners. The Beast Pen and Foundry near Jinghai University, Blue Team, belonged to Jinghai University, while the Mill and Research Center near Yen University, Red Team, belonged to Yen University. The first step of the goal has been achieved. Next, we need to ensure that the gold mine is in our hands. As for the remaining 4 resource buildings, we just need to maintain a 2-2 ratio. If the other resources are equal, we can win this match in about 80 minutes with the gold mine's additional 2 resource points. Everyone agreed with Bai Xiaowen's analysis. What should we do along the way? Li Shi asked on the island of the West Road's animal pen. Should we meet up with you at the gold mine? Or go south to attack the mill? Stay where you are and don't move, Bai Xiaowen said. The team that has occupied the mill will definitely rush in your direction. The 3 of you lack long-range attacks, so stay on the island and fight them on land. If they don't land and launch long-range attacks, Shi will use the backup plan. According to Bai Xiaowen's speculation, the other party should be a branch of 212. There were 2 people on the West Road. 2 against 3 on Bai Xiaowen's side. Even if the overall strength of Swallow Capital University was stronger, Bai Xiaowen's side would not collapse so easily. On the other hand, the island where Xiang Hui's foundry was located required extra attention. In a water battle, Xiang Hui's Thunder Cast Hook Spear couldn't be used effectively, and the foundry that he was guarding was of utmost importance. Bai Xiaowen immediately decided to take a boat to support the foundry. What about the gold mine? It's a building that costs 2 resource points per minute. It would be a pity if it was stolen, Xiang Hui said. It won't. Don't worry. Bai Xiaowen raised his hand and summoned the vampire kits. You stay here and guard this flag. If someone tries to steal the flag, you come and interrupt them. You just need to attack once. If they counterattack, you can use your bat transformation ability to avoid the fight, Bai Xiaowen said. Kits trembled. Boss, can I do it alone? Yes, I'll leave Fatty here too. Bai Xiaowen patted Fatty's thick waist. With its protection, you can rest assured. Just hold on for 1 minute and I'll definitely be there. Fatty grunted. Fatty, listen to Kits. Do whatever he tells you to do. It's like you're listening to my orders, Bai Xiaowen ordered. Kits had a complete AI. Even if he was far away from Bai Xiaowen, he could still move freely. The zombie doctor and the Wrath Claw were the same. Of course, the Wrath Claw wasn't as intelligent as the other 2. But summon creatures without a complete AI, such as the Shadow Assassin and the Skeleton Sword Shield Soldier, couldn't. they had to be within the range of Bai Xiaowen's mental power to move. Once they left, they would be automatically recalled. After Fatty mutated, it developed a basic level of self-awareness, but its AI level was still very low. It was only equivalent to a 3 or 4-year-old child. Of course, the good thing was that it didn't have the bad temper of a child. After leaving Bai Xiaowen's mental range, Fatty wouldn't be automatically recalled. But its mobility was very poor, and someone had to give it orders. Letting the butcher and kits move together was an idea that Bai Xiaowen came up with after careful consideration regarding the resource plundering mode. In the resource plundering mode, having an additional unit that could move freely was very important. As summoned creatures, although the butcher and kits couldn't seize the flag, they could interfere with the opponent's capture. Within 15 seconds of the opponent seizing the flag, as long as they entered combat mode, they would be interrupted. This was also a reasonable use of the rules. Kits carefully asked, "Boss, will it really listen to me? If it goes crazy, I won't be able to beat it." "Don't worry." Bai Xiaowen instructed the butcher for a while. The butcher's little eyes flashed with confusion, and he mumbled a few words in response. Bai Xiaowen left the anxious kits behind, stepped onto the small boat, and headed straight for the foundry. The beast pen increased movement speed in non-combat mode. In a water battle, it also increased the speed of the boat. The skeleton sword shield soldier's rowing motion didn't change, but its speed clearly increased. The small boat shot forward like an arrow leaving the bow. Soon, Xiang Hui's message came through the public channel. "People are coming from the other side." 2. Sure enough, it's 212's branch. "Who's there?" "That square," and the sniper, F*CK Xiang Hui was halfway through his sentence when he suddenly groaned and cursed. He was clearly in pain. "I'll be there soon." "Hold on a little longer," Bai Xiaowen said in a low voice. Xiaoyisen crouched at the bow of the boat, narrowing one eye. She slowly adjusted the angle and aimed at the fighting Xiang Hui. Bang! Another bullet broke the sound barrier and flew through the air. Although Xiang Hui had the awareness to move in advance, he was slowed down by Wu Chaojie. He took another shot to the arm, and his HP was already reduced by more than half. Wu Chaojie rambled, show off some more. "Aren't you guys so F*King awesome? I'll show you what Cua's ace tank is." Xiang Hui's two swords hit Wu Chaojie, but they only left 2 white marks on the opponent's heavy armor. The damage was only in the single digits, and it wasn't even as fast as the HP regeneration. In a situation where he didn't cause sharp damage, the bleeding effect didn't trigger. Chapter 589. Xiang Hui endured the pain in his arm, found an opening, and raised his hand. The lightning-grappled spear shot out, aiming at Xiaoyisen's boat. In order to maintain her sniping distance, Xiaoyisen did not land on the foundry island. Instead, she sniped from the bow of the boat. With the lake in the way, normal charge skills would not be able to find a path, so naturally, they would be rendered ineffective. However, Xiang Hui's surprise attack was a brilliant move that could reverse the situation of the battle. After he shot onto Xiaoyisen's ship, he would definitely be able to do whatever he wanted in the narrow cabin. Xiaoyisen had no other choice but to jump into the water to escape. Moreover, Wu Chaojie had no way to directly reinforce her. "Dream on." Wu Chaojie sneered and reached out to grab Xiang Hui's waist. With his weight, if he held Xiang Hui back, the lightning-grappled spear would not be able to carry the two of them. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck down from the sky. Wu Chaojie's movements suddenly froze. Then, an illusion appeared in front of Wu Chaojie, and he fell into the fear state. Without Wu Chaojie's obstruction, Xiang Hui easily leaped into the air and shot towards Xiaoyisen. Not good. From the corner of his eye, Wu Chaojie saw a small boat cutting through the mist on the lake. 2 skeletons were rowing the boat, and Bai Xiaowen and the undead warlock stood at the bow of the boat. The lightning-grappled spear and demonic control just now were the work of the undead warlock. Bai Xiaowen did not waste any words. He raised his hand at Wu Chaojie and summoned 3 creatures, the Shadow Assassin, the Wrath Claw, and the Skeleton Warrior. They surrounded Wu Chaojie in a triangle formation. Wu Chaojie instantly fell into a difficult battle. His defense was strong, and he had the passive of a tank warrior. His damage output was not bad either. However, he was still powerless against a boss and two elites. Moreover, there was also Bai Xiaowen, a powerful long-range damage dealer, eyeing him covetously. On the other side, the instant Xia Yixin saw Xiang Hui flying over, she decisively put away her sniper rifle and dove into the lake, planning to escape by diving. Since she could not win, she could only sell her teammate. However, it was impossible for Bai Xiaowen to let Xia Yixin escape safely. As soon as the latter entered the water, Bai Xiaowen immediately opened fire with his gun. Under Bai Xiaowen's telepathy, no matter which direction Xia Yixin fled in, she had nowhere to hide. Her body continued to bleed, and her HP was quickly depleted. She was beaten into a white light. He didn't even get an assist. Xiang Hui, who had landed at the bow of the ship, shook his head. There's no need to turn back. Just sail south and head to the research institute, Bai Xiaowen said. Leave this turtle shell to me. Although the research institute did not provide direct buffs like the foundry, its strategic position was still very important. At the very least, they could not allow the enemy to occupy it for more than 10 minutes. Otherwise, the war items that were given out could easily break the balance. Xiang Hui nodded and immediately rowed the boat away. Damn it. You're looking down on me too much. Wu Chaojie gnashed his teeth in anger, but there was nothing he could do. After his defensive state disappeared, Bai Xiaowen easily knocked him to the ground. 3-0. Jinghai University had made a perfect start. However, after Wu Chaojie's kill notification, another kill notification sounded. Han Su had died in battle. The killer was Qiao Rui. This is not good. Bai Xiaowen quickly turned the boat around. Han Su was the shield of the three-man team. If he died in battle, Feng Xiang and Li Shi would be in danger. Sure enough, just 2 seconds after the notification that Han Su had died, the news that Feng Xiang had been killed came. The killer was Xin Bing. What's the situation? Do you need backup? Bai Xiaowen asked in the public channel. No need. Li Shi's short reply came from the public channel. Retreat if you have to, Bai Xiaowen said. This time, Li Shi did not reply. A few seconds later, another kill notification appeared. Li Shi had killed Xin Bing. I'm retreating. Qiao Rui's skill is too shameless. Li Shi's voice sounded in the public channel. Good. That's not bad. You were able to kill a sorcerer under Qiao Rui's protection, Bai Xiaowen praised. When it was time to praise his sister, he should not be stingy. Bai Xiaowen continued to head west. His goal was to defend the gold mine in the center. North of the West Road. Qiao Rui stood on the island in the stable. She looked at the lake where Li Shi had disappeared and the water was still splashing. She shook her head. Her fingers touched the flagpole of the stable and the 15-second capture the flag channeling bar began. At this time, Ouyang Heng had been revived. After all, he was the first to die, so he only had 1 minute to revive. How did 3 people die at once? Ouyang Heng asked with a frown. Qiao Rui, what happened? Qiao Rui did not like Ouyang Heng's tone. After a few seconds of silence, she replied, Wu Chaojie and the others were killed by Xiaowen's reinforcements on the East Road. They were a few kilometers away. There was nothing I could do. Let's not talk about Wu Chaojie and Xia Yixin. How did Jing Bing die too? Ouyang Heng heard how Qiao Rui addressed Bai Xiaowen. She was annoyed. If Bai Xiaowen appeared on the East Road, the West Road should only be defended by a few garbage people. How could they let Jing Bing die and take up our revival time? Qiao Rui said patiently, Li Shi is Xiaowen's regular teammate. She is very strong. Moreover, she has an item that is very suitable for underwater combat. That's enough. You can save these excuses. Don't make Bai Xiaowen sound so terrifying. It's as if everyone who has anything to do with him has ascended to the heavens and become more powerful. Yang Heng interrupted Xiao Rui with a dark face. He said in a serious tone, Xiao Rui, this is the final. It concerns the honor of our alma mater. I hope you can treat it seriously. Don't make excuses that are easily debunked. How strong can Bai Xiaowen's woman be? She's just an elite. Xiao Rui's tone turned cold. Yang Heng, what do you mean? Are you suspecting that I went easy on them? Yang Heng had just been resurrected, so he was very angry. However, he regretted his words immediately after saying them. However, even though he regretted it, Yang Heng still insisted on not backing down. You know very well whether you went easy on them or not. If the school team loses the championship, you won't be able to shirk your responsibility. The harsh words were spoken, but Xiao Rui did not respond. The public channel was silent. After 10 seconds, Yang Heng finally couldn't take it anymore and said, Xiao Rui, I didn't mean it that way. I just hope you can be more serious. Even if you have a good relationship with Bai Xiaowen and he helped your second uncle, a competition is still a competition. Yang Heng waited for a few seconds. There was no response. Okay, Xiao Rui, don't be angry anymore. Where are you? I'll meet you. There was still no response. Yang Heng frowned and opened the public channel. Xingbing, Wu Chaojie, and Xiaosen, these three teammates were in ghost state. Needless to say, their avatars were gray. Xiao Rui's avatar was lit up. Why wasn't he answering? With a trace of confusion, Yang Heng scrolled up the public channel. In the end, he found a prompt message that was automatically blocked. Xiao Rui has left the public channel. Looking at the timestamp, Xiao Rui had directly left the team's public channel after Yang Heng had said, I won't shirk my responsibility. In other words, Yang Heng's last words were to the air. Yang Heng's face burned. His three teammates were in ghost mode. They didn't seem to know his embarrassment, but when they revived, they would definitely look at the public channel's chat history. Damn team chat. Why can't I delete it? Yang Heng was furious. He suddenly jumped onto the boat. With a push of the long pole, he shot toward Jinquang in the middle lane like an arrow. The only way to save my face now is to kill Bai Xiaowen one-on-one. Didn't Xiao Rui think that Bai Xiaowen is very strong? Let's see what you have to say after I kill Bai Xiaowen. As for whether he could kill Bai Xiaowen? Although Yang Heng was embarrassed and angry, he still analyzed the situation seriously. Bai Xiaowen's health is not full. I've already reduced his health to less than half before. I've just revived. My health is full, and my skills are all recovered. If I can't beat him, then what's the point of fighting? I'll just surrender. Yang Heng's boat was already very fast in a water battle environment. Now that he had Xiao Rui's movement speed bonus after occupying the monster pen, he was as fast as the wind. In less than a minute, the foggy central island of the gold mine was right in front of his eyes. At this time, Xiao Rui's voice was heard in the public channel again. Don't go to the gold mine. Go to the research lab. Yang Heng was slightly startled. You're back? Xiao Rui's voice was indifferent. Yes, I gave you some time to calm down. I'm going to rob the foundry now. You go to the research facility. Don't go to the gold mine. Why? Bai Xiaowen should be guarding the gold mine. As long as we kill him, we can turn the tables around. If I tell you directly that you can't beat him, will it trigger your rebellious mentality? Xiao Rui said indifferently. However, the truth is that even if you're in your best condition, you won't be able to defeat Xiaowen one-on-one. Taking a step back, even if you defeated Xiaowen, what's the point? The time it takes for him to revive is the same as the time it takes for any of the other team members to revive. However, the difficulty of killing him is completely different. After a pause, Xiao Rui said, the other team's assassin has gone to rob the research facility. If you kill him now, you can also slow down Team Blue's revival. The benefits are the same as killing Xiaowen. However, Yang Heng did not listen to what Xiao Rui said. His rationality had automatically shut down when he heard even if you're in your best condition, you won't be able to defeat him. I'm already at the gold mine. After saying this, Ouyang Heng directly logged out of the public channel. On the other side, Qiao Rui saw the prompt that Ouyang Heng had logged out of the public channel and snorted softly. Her boat did not continue east. Instead, it turned right and headed south. I'm still too naive. Is it because I haven't experienced any setbacks since I was young? My family still treats him as someone important. They want me to entrust my life's happiness to him. It's really short-sighted. If I wasn't worried about losing too badly, I wouldn't be willing to change my strategy and compromise. Forget it, I hope I can make it in time. With this thought in mind, Qiao Rui rowed in the direction of the gold mine. Suddenly, Qiao Rui's slender eyes narrowed. She seemed to have noticed something. She stopped rowing the boat, took out her emerald green bamboo flute, and got into a defensive posture. Whoosh! 2 shining sword tips pierced through the bottom of the boat. Then, the 2 swords crossed and the boat was directly cut into 3 pieces. Qiao Rui fell into the water. However, she did not panic. Instead, she blew the bamboo flute and a transparent sonic arrow shot out. The sonic arrow had a clear trajectory in the water and its speed was greatly reduced. The water rippled. A figure like a mermaid nimbly dodged the arrow. Qiao Rui gently paddled the water with her hands to keep her shoulders above the water. Then, she focused her eyes. Another head popped out from the rippling water. It was wearing a transparent swim bladder. Aside from the pretty face, just the appearance of the swim bladder helmet made it look like a fat fish. It was Li Shui. Sorry, senior. How about you play with me for a while? Li Shui smiled proudly. Although they were opponents, they had met a few times in the past few days and had a good impression of each other. Qiao Rui said helplessly, I've been tricked by you. Let me pass. I won't go to the gold mine, okay? Li Shui chuckled and said in a clear voice, no. Qiao Rui suddenly lowered her head and dove into the water. She dove all the way to the bottom of the lake. Li Shui saw this and dove into the water as well. The 2 powerful female hunters began a unique contest at the bottom of the lake. Qiao Rui's sonic attack was undoubtedly slowed down underwater. Li Shui maintained a certain distance and could completely dodge it. Qiao Rui tried to walk at the bottom of the lake in the direction of the central gold mine. However, she was stopped by Li Shui. Qiao Rui had to temporarily activate Soul Walk, even though it would continue to consume her mental power. Li Shui had specialized in underwater combat. With the help of her swim bladder, she was like a tiger with wings. She had once killed a high-level pirate leader underwater when she was only level 5. If Qiao Rui didn't have Soul Walk to protect her, she wouldn't even last a minute. Li Shui wasn't greedy. She focused on harassing and intercepting. The 2 figures constantly intertwined and separated at the bottom of the lake. Time ticked by. Suddenly, a notification sounded again. Red Warrior, Ouyang Heng has been killed. Killed by Xiaowen. Hearing this notification, the 2 of them were slightly shocked, and then they both smiled. Li Shui smiled proudly. Qiao Rui smiled helplessly with a hint of mockery. The battle is over. Can you let me go? Qiao Rui's voice sounded in Li Shui's mind. Li Shui's smile widened. She shook her head. Her attitude was clear. So naughty. Qiao Rui's smile became sly. She looked like a little fox who had stolen a chicken. But it's not up to you. Light flashed under Li Shui's feet. Qiao Rui raised her hand. Sound attack array. Li Shui was instantly imprisoned. She couldn't move until she received damage. I'll go first. Qiao Rui raised her foot. However, as soon as she took a step, the shadow of a giant python split the ground and firmly bound Qiao Rui in place. Chapter 590. Li Shui's new equipment, Bagatha's entanglement, had the additional strangle skill. Finally, it worked. For 6 seconds, Qiao Rui was not only confined, but he also suffered 1% damage per second. Of course, the damage was secondary. The most important thing was that the sound attack array's confinement sigil only lasted for 5 seconds, and it was triggered first. Li Shi kicked the water with her feet. With the acceleration of her swim bladder, she easily reached Qiao Rui's side and stabbed with her 2 swords again. With 2 slashes, Qiao Rui's body exploded into a bloody mist. Li Shi was a little surprised. She didn't expect Qiao Rui to not activate Soul Walk. She had thought that these 2 swords wouldn't hit. An exciting thought arose in Li Shi's mind. Could it be that Qiao Rui had used up all of his Soul Walk? Or did he not have enough mental strength? With this thought in mind, Li Shi's right hand shook and activated triple slash. Sorry. Suddenly, Qiao Rui's voice sounded in Li Shi's mind. It was just 2 simple words. Li Shi was a little confused, but her hands didn't slow down at all. Qiao Rui's bamboo flute exploded with a ball of black light. Sound attack array, end of destruction sigil. Li Shi felt as if a heavy sledgehammer had struck her heart. Her movements suddenly froze. Her health points, which were already low, instantly dropped to the bottom. The news of Qiao Rui killing Li Shi didn't cause much of a stir. The audience's attention was focused on Ouyang Heng. Yes, Ouyang Heng had been defeated twice in a row. Including the first round of True Slaughter mode, he had been killed by Bai Xiaowen 3 times. 1 time, he could argue, 2 times, but 3 times, he couldn't lie to himself anymore. This time, Bai Xiaowen did not use any ultimate skills with extremely long cooldowns. He only used deterrence and talisman switch. Together with the Butcher, Angry Claw, and other summoned creatures to surround and attack Ouyang Heng, who was at full HP, and kill him. What did this mean? The difference in their strength was greater than expected. Moreover, the next time Ouyang Heng was revived, Bai Xiaowen's cooldowns would be almost up. He could also replicate this result. This time. Considering the time of their awakening, this result undoubtedly made Ouyang Heng feel even more uncomfortable. It was as humiliating as being an all-star player who had been in the NBA for a few years being at the peak of their prime. Alright, it wasn't just once. It was a series of buckles. Ouyang Heng floated above the life altar in his spectral form. I can't beat him. Why can't I beat him? Why can't I beat him? Ouyang Heng's heart was gloomy. His self-confidence had been crushed by Bai Xiaowen. On the other side, Bai Xiaowen was shocked when he received the news that Li Shi had been killed. I still underestimated Qiao Rui's explosive power. Bai Xiaowen couldn't contact Li Shi, who was in ghost form, so he could only play it safe. He didn't take over the other islands, but focused on guarding the central gold mine. The rate of resource extraction per minute was 4.2. Jinghai University had the upper hand, so there was no need to take risks. Yen University was also very patient. After Xiaoyisen was revived, she stayed in the base until the main tank Wu Chaojie was revived. The 2 of them met up with Qiao Rui, who had returned, and rushed to the Research Institute in the southern section of East Road. In a few more minutes, Jinghai University would get their first war item. Xiang Hui had already left the Research Institute and handed it over. At the same time, Han Su and Feng Xiang, who had been revived by Jinghai University, had also reoccupied the animal pen in the northern section of West Road. During this period of time, both sides adopted the tactic of shrinking their forces. There was no fierce battle. The rate of resource extraction per minute was maintained at 4.2. Jinghai University had the upper hand. However, after Li Shi was revived in the 15th minute, Jinghai University launched another attack. This was a good opportunity. Because of the headcount ratio, Ouyang Heng needed more time to revive. In addition to the previous queue, he still needed 4 minutes. 4 minutes was actually not a long time. It was only enough for him to fight for the buildings on the 2 neighboring islands. From this, it could be seen that Qiao Rui had a good view of the overall situation. The time he chose to kill Li Shi was very subtle. If he had used his ultimate move to kill Li Shui at the beginning of the battle, it would have seemed clean and neat. However, Qiao Rui would not have been able to support Ouyang Heng in time. Moreover, Li Shui would have been revived a few minutes earlier. Jinghai University would have had a long time to reorganize their forces. This would have put more pressure on Yan University. Of course, Qiao Rui's ultimate move, the end of annihilation, could not be used casually. Paying a price was one thing, but there were also prerequisites to use it. In response to Jinghai University's attack, Yan University adopted the tactic of harassment. They took advantage of their long-range attacks and interfered with Jinghai University's team to capture the flag. Once they encountered Bai Xiaowen, the 4 people from Yan University, including Qiao Rui, immediately fled. They turned to attack the other resource buildings that Jinghai University had already occupied. This tactic of avoiding the real attack was very effective. In these 4 minutes, the overall resource ratio between the two sides was still 4-2. Jinghai University only occupied 2 or 3 more resources, which was basically negligible. The audience was surprised to find that Yan University did not collapse when the main team leader, Ouyang Heng, was facing the wall and reflecting on his mistakes while waiting for his revival. In fact, if it weren't for Kits and Fatty guarding the central gold mine, perhaps the control of the gold mine would have already changed hands. Even if it was only for a few minutes, with an increase and a decrease, Swallow University would still be able to close the gap in resources. It could only be said that Bai Xiaowen's summoned creatures were too much of a bug. They could still move independently in places that were far away from Bai Xiaowen's control. What was even more commendable was that Yan University did not continue to send people to delay their revival. Finally, Ouyang Heng was revived. He immediately connected to the public channel, just in time to hear Qiao Rui's comm command. The other side is coming to take over the research institute. Xiaisen, temporarily retreat. Wu Chaojie and Jingbing, come with me to the research institute to provide support. While Xiaowen is not here, we'll form a counter-encirclement. Why is Bai Xiaowen not here? Wu Chaojie asked. Because our team leader was revived. Xiaowen went back to guard the gold mine, Qiao Rui said calmly. Our team leader might be stubborn and continue to go to the central gold mine to challenge him. How is that possible? Jingbing laughed embarrassedly. There's a first and second time, why can't there be a third time? Qiao Rui said. In a situation where both sides have no effective detection methods, no matter how they arrange their troops, there's always a question of probability. There's no such thing as a 100% impossibility. Blue team's main goal is already very clear, which is to protect the gold mine until they have enough resources and win. Ouyang Heng's temples suddenly throbbed. He felt that after facing the wall for a few minutes, he had finally calmed down with great difficulty. He was becoming irritable again. Suppressing his irritation, Ouyang Heng said, Qiao Rui, if that's the case, why don't we team up and fight for the gold mine? I've checked, it's now 22 minutes, and the resource ratio is 87-42. We're at a huge disadvantage. Only by taking back the gold mine can we turn the tables. Otherwise, it'll be a slow suicide. The team members were a little stunned. Ouyang Heng had always been the leader of the team, and he always meant what he said. Now, he was actually using a negotiating tone to talk to Qiao Rui. It was a little rare. Ouyang Heng kept telling himself to calm down and not be impulsive. The conflict with Qiao Rui could be resolved after the competition. If he argued now, he would only lose the competition and let Bai Xiaowen be proud. However, Qiao Rui's next words made Ouyang Heng lose control. Why don't we team up and fight for the gold mine? Because we can't beat him. Qiao Rui's tone was indifferent. He was not at all moved by Ouyang Heng's negotiating tone. He said calmly, in the last round of True Slaughter mode, we had the advantage of a surprise attack, but we were still defeated. This means that Xiaowen's strength has surpassed the sum of yours and mine. If we fight him head-on, we have no chance of winning. In the channel, Ouyang Heng was silent. The others were a little scared, waiting for Ouyang Heng to explode. Wu Chaojie coughed. Xiao Rui, Bai Xiaowen is our opponent. You keep calling him Xiaowen. Isn't it a little too intimate? Isn't it a little inappropriate? People who don't know better might think that you have some kind of private relationship with Bai Xiaowen, and doubt your attitude towards the competition. Xiao Rui cut off Wu Chaojia's words and said coldly, "You're the one who's doubting me. It's okay, just say it directly. If you doubt my attitude towards the competition, you can complain to the school or even the officials. As long as it's the school's decision, I'll accept any punishment." Wu Chaojia was choked and rolled his eyes. Xing Bing quickly tried to smooth things over. "No integrity, don't say that. Senior Xiao Rui is already working very hard. If it wasn't for her command, we might have already been defeated." Xiaisen, "Yeah, no integrity, you're going too far." Xiao Rui was silent for a while, then he sighed. "I don't want to see internal strife, but if we don't trust each other, there's no way to win the competition. I'm not someone who likes to lead a team, so I'm just going to express my opinion. Analyzing the current situation, we have a high chance of losing the team battle. Even if it's a tie with the other side, it's meaningless to exchange a few kills for a few of the other side's kills. It will only increase our disadvantage because our kill count is already behind the other side by 2, and our resurrection time will be longer. As for using items and trump cards to win at all costs, it's possible, but this kind of temporary victory isn't fatal to the opponent. Their respawn time is very short, and we still can't beat them when they respawn at full health. So, our best choice now is to avoid Xiaowen and encircle the others, and slowly accumulate the advantage of the number of kills. When the opponent's respawn time exceeds 10 minutes, we'll find another opportunity to use items or scrolls to annihilate the opponent and try to kill Xiaowen. In this way, Xiaowen, including the respawn time of the others, will need close to an hour to return to the battlefield. With this 1 hour, we'll definitely be able to loot 300 points of resources and win the competition." Xiao Rui's meaning was, except for Bai Xiaowen, the other people from Jinghai University were noobs and didn't pose any threat. His last words had undoubtedly struck a chord in everyone's hearts. Yan University's team, which had been defeated by Jinghai University, had found the key to victory. Ouyang Heng didn't have much to say. Although he felt that Xiao Rui was threatening his position as the leader and made him feel uncomfortable, it was difficult to find fault with Xiao Rui's tactics. The main reason was that Ouyang Heng had lost his position as the leader after losing 2 waves of kills. Ouyang Heng could only persuade himself that as long as they won the competition, the biggest credit would still go to him as the team leader. So what if Xiao Rui was in command now? In the following matches, Yan University continued to use the tactics that they had used before Ouyang Heng was revived. They didn't care about the loss of resources and buildings and just harassed them. However, with the addition of Ouyang Heng, a powerful warrior who was good at water battles, Yan University's overall strength had increased greatly. In the battle at the Research Institute, they blocked Jinghai University's Xiang Hui, Han Su, and Feng Xiang, and wiped out 3 of their opponents. "Sorry, we couldn't escape in time," Han Su said in a muffled voice. The opponent was too cunning. At first, only 2 people appeared. We thought we could win, but Ouyang Heng and the square-shaped warrior were hiding at the bottom of the boat. Plus, the opponent's sorcerer had a mental shield, so I didn't notice them and was tricked, Feng Xiang said bitterly. "It's not your fault," Bai Xiaowen said with a smile. "It's my fault. I didn't expect Ouyang Heng to change his mind and not continue to attack the central gold mine. I've been guarding here for so long, maybe I underestimated Ouyang Heng, or the opponent changed their commander." Li Shui said, "Now that we've lost 3 teammates, the opponent should be fighting for the resource buildings. Should we give up on the gold mine?" Bai Xiaowen shook his head and smiled. "Why should we give up? If the opponent wants to come, let them come. To put it bluntly, it's just a lineup of 2 leaders and 3 elites. Don't tell me you and I haven't seen enough of this?" Li Shui paused for a moment, then smiled. "Okay, I'll meet up with you right away." Strictly speaking, Bai Xiaowen's words were not accurate. Awakened heroes were generally more difficult to deal with than leaders of the same level, especially Ouyang Heng and Xiao Rui. Both of them were powerful heroes with exclusive equipment. They had all kinds of control abilities and tools, and their combat style was much more flexible than bosses. Their strength was equivalent to that of a high-level leader. Of course, Ouyang Heng and Xiao Rui's weakness was that their HP was much lower than that of high-level leaders. Once their weaknesses were exposed, they could be killed instantly. At the same time, the Yen University team's public channel was also having a heated discussion. This is a good opportunity to go straight for the gold mine. It's time to take back the initiative, Wu Chaojie said excitedly. No, we have to stick to the original plan. We have to avoid the gold mine where Xiaowen is and take the 4 resource buildings in the 4 corners, Xiao Rui said helplessly. She could tell that Wu Chaojie's actions were mostly under Ouyang Heng's instructions. He was going to lead the charge for Ouyang Heng. What's wrong? There are only 2 of them left. Do you think we'll lose? Wu Chaojie said unhappily. Chapter 591. After Ouyang Heng said this, he laughed in what he thought was a humorous manner. Wu Chaojie followed suit. Xingbing and Xiaoyisen were also moved. Although they didn't express their opinions, they still supported the idea of fighting Jinquang head-on. It made sense. It was 5 against 2. How could they lose? Xiao Rui's encroachment tactic was good, but the actual implementation was too depressing. It didn't reflect Swallow University's kingly demeanor at all. Everyone was used to relying on their overwhelming advantage to beat the opponent until they couldn't breathe. Slashing and killing was the usual style of this king team. Xiao Rui was silent for a while, then sighed. Can't we take the foundry first? Of course. The foundry's 20% attack and armor bonus is a team weapon. Even if you didn't mention it, I would have taken it. Ouyang Heng couldn't help but smile when he saw Xiao Rui's compromise. He regained his command. Under the wise leadership of Captain Ouyang Heng, the opponent sent GG. This was a familiar rhythm. For safety's sake, the 5 from Swallow University moved together. The 5 of them took 2 boats and set off from the research institute. They headed north, and the island where the foundry was located was already in sight. There was no one on the island. There was only a blue flag fluttering in front of the foundry. They didn't expect us to take the foundry first. Ouyang Heng smiled proudly. Chaojie, let's go and take the flag. Wu Chaojie agreed and rowed the boat to the shore. Then, he jumped onto the island with Ouyang Heng. Xiao Rui and the other 2 waited on the boat behind. After occupying the foundry and obtaining the team battle buff, they would turn to the gold mine and defeat Bai Xiaowen and Li Shui, completely wiping out their opponents. Just as Wu Chaojie began the countdown, a black shadow suddenly enlarged rapidly. Butcher's huge body fell from the sky, bringing with it a purplish-black poisonous gas. He sat on Wu Chaojie's butt. Then, gunshots rang out. Xiao Rui, who was sitting at the back of the boat, suddenly stood up. Oh no, let's go to the shore. Our position is perfect for us to use our long-range advantage, Xingbing said strangely. Before Xiao Rui could say anything, the boat beneath their feet was split apart like tofu, and the boat was split into 3 sections. The 3 fell into the water at the same time. Li Shui's graceful figure appeared in a flash. She was the first to rush in front of Xingbing and slashed her 2 swords with blazing flames. For this surprise attack, she had Bai Xiaowen's psychic energy shield to shield her from Xiao Rui's perception. Xingbing cried out in alarm. He immediately activated the acceleration skill of his shoes and tried to retreat. However, the acceleration of the shoes only increased the speed of movement on land and did not increase the speed of swimming in the water. Xiao Rui reacted the fastest. She raised her hand the moment Li Shui appeared. A yellow light flashed and turned into a large golden net that wrapped around Li Shui, mind cage. This was a skill that required continuous casting, but it could maintain the shackling effect. It would not be interrupted by external damage. While Xiao Rui was maintaining the mind cage, Xingbing and Xiaoyisen would only need a few seconds to kill Li Shui. However, a crimson talisman flew over from the island. As if it had foreseen the future, it destroyed Xiao Rui's plan. Talisman switch, Berserk Talisman. For 14 seconds, Li Shi was immune to all control skills with a priority of 7 and below. Moreover, Li Shi's damage was increased by 20%. The light of the mind cage dissipated powerlessly. Li Shi's 2 slashes followed by 3 consecutive slashes. After piercing through Jingbing's shield, she caused his HP to drop drastically. In an instant, his HP dropped from full to less than 100 points. Then, the blood-red sword in Li Shi's right hand glowed. A fountain of blood gushed out from Jingbing's body and poured onto the sword, making the blood-red sword look even more demonic and terrifying. After using Blood Drain, Li Shi directly activated the explosive effect of Mark of Thunder and Dance of Devilish Fire. This series of actions took less than a second. Jingbing was already dead. It was as if his health points had been magically reduced. Even though Xiao Rui was a hero-level support and had powerful skills that could restore a large amount of health points, she could not cast this powerful instant kill in time. Moreover, she had just cast the mind cage, so she had to do some casting actions. Li Shi went all out. After killing Jingbing, she kicked the water with the tip of her foot. Under the powerful recoil, she leaped out of the water like a mermaid and shot towards Xiaoyisen. Xiao Rui held her bamboo flute horizontally. She was puzzled. Why was Li Shi ignoring her? But in the next second, Xiao Rui knew why. Swoosh. 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 4 skeletal shield-bearers descended from the sky and landed precisely around Xiao Rui, completely blocking her path of attack. Xiao Rui's first sonic break attack was blocked by the skeletal shield-bearers. What was even more discouraging was that the skeletal shield-bearers did not die after being hit by a single target spell. Instead, they were full of energy and used Shield Bash. Xiao Rui activated Detect and scanned them. The skeletal shield-bearers in front of her had 22 points of constitution. No wonder they could take single-target spells head-on. Her Timbre of Destruction was a basic spell, and its damage bonus was not high. Xiao Rui estimated that with the skeletal shield-bearers' 22 points of magic resistance, she would need at least 2 sonic breaks to kill one of them. If she was unlucky, she would need to use a 3rd sonic break. However, Xiao Rui couldn't ignore the skeletal shield-bearers' attacks. After all, she was a support who specialized in mental strength. Close combat was her weakness. It was difficult for her to maneuver in the water, and she was surrounded by 4 skeletal shield-bearers. She had no choice but to activate Soul Walk in an attempt to break through the encirclement. However, the skeletal shield-bearers followed her every step. Wherever Xiao Rui moved, they would follow. During this process, they kept swinging their iron swords. Xiao Rui had no choice but to maintain Soul Walk's consumption state. She didn't dare to rashly cancel it. You only used 4 of the weakest skeletal shield-bearers to seal my movements. As expected of Xiaowen. I haven't revived since I died. My ultimate skill, End of Annihilation, is still on cooldown. You must have expected this. Forget it. I'll do my best. If Ouyang Heng and the others can't take down Xiaowen before my mental strength runs out, they can only admit defeat. Xiao Rui didn't waste any more time. She maintained Soul Walk. She held her bamboo flute horizontally, and a gentle soul rhythm resounded throughout the battlefield. Li Shi seized the remaining time of Berserk Charm to pursue Xiaoyisen. On the island of the Foundry, the fierce battle between Bai Xiaowen, Wu Chaojie, and Ouyang Heng was the key to this battle. Chapter 592. However, after Bai Xiaowen forced him to use this skill, he ignored him and only used the Butcher to fight him. After activating the Decay skill, the Butcher was like a piece of rotten meat that could not be killed and could not be shaken off. Although Wu Chaojie's damage output was higher than the average tank, the Butcher had a set equipment that could reduce 30% of the damage dealt by the poison. In addition, the +6 damage reduction effect of the equipment enhancement reduced Wu Chaojie's damage output by almost half. In terms of damage output, the butcher's performance was not bad either. Ignoring the fact that the set equipment itself increased the poison damage and reduced Wu Chaojia's armor and resistance by half, the butcher's +7 Savage Scepter's attack power was already extremely terrifying. Others might not be able to see how powerful the butcher's damage output was, but Wu Chaojia was well aware of it. He was currently in the state of diamond protection, which could reduce a lot of damage, but his HP was still decreasing as he fought the butcher. Compared to the butcher's HP bar, Wu Chaojia was even more discouraged. Based on the speed at which both sides were losing HP, he really could not beat the butcher, let alone support Ouyang Heng. In other words, Ouyang Heng and Bai Xiaowen had entered into a one-on-one mode from a certain angle. The only good news was that Xiao Rui did not care about the loss of his mental strength. He activated Soul Walk and Soul Melody at the same time, slowly stacking Bai Xiaowen's weakness debuff. It had now stacked up to 2 stacks. With 5 stacks, all of Bai Xiaowen's attributes would be reduced by 25%. In a situation where his strength was greatly reduced, it was basically impossible for him to defeat Ouyang Heng. After all, this was Ouyang Heng's specialty in water battles. Ouyang Heng took a deep breath and suppressed his desire to attack. He constantly dodged Bai Xiaowen's attacks and waited for Bai Xiaowen's weakness debuff to stack. Bai Xiaowen raised his hand, and an evil ghost appeared from the smoke and directly used the grudge skill on Ouyang Heng. Now that Xiao Rui did not cast a control spell to interrupt the evil ghost's mana drain, Ouyang Heng could only endure the 15 points of mental strength. Fortunately, he was not as helpless as the boss of the spirit realm. He immediately took out a copper wine flask and gulped down a mouthful. Tide Gladiator Ouyang Heng has drunk Current's aged wine. Recovers 1 MP every second for 10 seconds. This way, Ouyang Heng's mental strength would be replenished. At the very least, he wouldn't have to worry about not having enough mental strength to cast skills. Bai Xiaowen wasn't discouraged. At the very least, the evil ghost's grudge had made Ouyang Heng use up his battle food. He held the gun with both hands and fired at Ouyang Heng. No matter how Ouyang Heng dodged, it was difficult for him to survive the sudden doubling of the number of bullets. With a few hissing sounds, he felt the pain of the bullets piercing his flesh. Absoran's shadow pounced forward, and Ouyang Heng received true damage from bloodlust. Then, he saw a familiar pale red glow flash across Bai Xiaowen's body, which was the sign of an increase in critical rate. I can't drag this out any longer. Otherwise, I'll just be taking a beating. Ouyang Heng arched his body and moved like a strange wave. Torrent charge. Bai Xiaowen's posture didn't change. He activated deterrence and instantly knocked Ouyang Heng out of charge. Ouyang Heng reacted quickly. A blue light flashed across his body, and he quickly got rid of the debuff. He raised his hand and cast Undercurrent under Bai Xiaowen's feet. Undercurrent cast in a water battle was much more powerful than on land. This was reflected in the radius of the fountain, which was much thicker. Although Bai Xiaowen immediately moved away, he was still sent flying by the undercurrent. Ouyang Heng activated the speed enhancement effect of his shoes and rushed forward. This time, I won't use Sea Giant Strike casually. With my strength, a normal slash is enough. It'll just be a matter of a few more slashes, Ouyang Heng thought as he rushed forward. However, a tall figure wielding a greatsword rushed over and collided with Ouyang Heng in midair. It was Bai Xiaowen who had controlled the skeleton warrior to cast Whirlwind Slash. The skeleton warrior's strength was far inferior to Ouyang Heng's. Not only did it fail to push back the opponent, but it was also pushed back. The Wrath Claw attacked. Its huge body moved like the wind and lightning. It appeared at Ouyang Heng's flank. It extended its sharp claws and scratched at Ouyang Heng's body. However, these two creatures couldn't stop Ouyang Heng. He ignored his injuries and approached Bai Xiaowen, who was in midair. He swung his greatsword. The 2 skeleton sword shielders had been killed. The remaining 4 skeleton sword shielders surrounded Xiao Rui. Bai Xiaowen couldn't repeat the previous battle strategy. He had to use the skeleton sword shielder's shield bash to help him move away. The butcher had his back against Wu Chaojia. He suddenly threw his chain towards the battle. Ouyang Heng sneered. He took half a step to the side and blocked the chain's path. The chain hit Ouyang Heng. At the same time, Ouyang Heng's sword slashed down and hit the airborne Bai Xiaowen. He fell to the ground and rolled on the ground. The butcher pulled on the chain. The chain quickly became taut. Ouyang Heng sneered. You want to drag me with this little strength? He pulled with a backhand and a vigorous force was activated. The butcher, who was pulling back with all his strength, suddenly retracted his strength. Its stubby legs sprang up. Using Ouyang Heng's pulling force, it flew towards Ouyang Heng like a cannonball. Was this a human bomb? Ouyang Heng's mouth twitched. It wasn't fun to be hit by a few 100 kilograms of the butcher. He might even lose his balance. He quickly took a step back and let the butcher land in front of him. With a dull thud, the island seemed to shake. Smoke and dust flew everywhere. Wu Chaojie tried his best to catch up. However, the speed reduction effect on him hadn't ended yet. He was very slow. Bai Xiaowen threw a punch. The flaming fist hit Ouyang Heng's lower abdomen. Ouyang Heng's eyes narrowed slightly. Although the power of Bai Xiaowen's punch couldn't be compared to the previous punches, Ouyang Heng didn't dare to be careless. He held his sword with both hands and took a defensive stance. With a clang, Bai Xiaowen's fist hit the blade. Not only did it not cause any damage to Ouyang Heng, but it also knocked him back. Such weak strength? Ouyang Heng was slightly stunned. An illusory figure appeared like a ghost. A dagger slashed towards Ouyang Heng's throat. Blood splattered everywhere. The shadow assassin finally found a chance to attack. Ouyang Heng's HP dropped sharply. He was also heavily bleeding. However, it wasn't an instant kill. He shouted angrily and swung his sword horizontally. The shadow assassin was knocked back 7 or 8 steps. Then, he quickly drank a hemostatic potion. However, it wasn't over yet. The skeleton warrior had already raised its sword for a long time. It charged up with a heavy blow. Ouyang Heng's head tilted. The sword hit his shoulder. Blood immediately gushed out. The whistling of the wind sounded like a train whistle. Chapter 593. The moment the thick scepter swung over, Ouyang Heng felt the flow of time around him slow down significantly. He could see the giant undead monster standing behind him, its shadow as large as a mountain. When he turned his head, he could even see the scene of the scepter coming towards him with a buzzing sound from the corner of his eyes, as well as the weapon thrown by his little brother Wu Chaojie. Wu Chaojie's weapon hit the back of the butcher's head. That was the only effort he could make. However, this skill only made the butcher grunt. His movements did not stop at all. Ouyang Heng took a deep breath and opened his mouth. Roar! An invisible sound wave with a rolling deterrent force spread out. Ouyang Heng had already used the Ocean Roar skill. To be honest, it was a bit of a waste to use Ocean Roar now. It was originally a godly skill with both attack and defense. It could be used to dispel crowd control. Now, the dispelling crowd control effect was wasted. However, Ouyang Heng had no other choice. If he was reluctant to use the skill, he would be killed. Enemies within melee range were stunned. Enemies within 10 meters were slowed down. However, in the next second, Ouyang Heng was sent flying like a baseball. He only felt the sharp pain in his leg in midair. What's going on? That zombie monster was stunned. Why didn't it stop attacking? Ouyang Heng rolled a few times like a broken sack and looked up at Fatty. Fatty maintained the standard stretching action of a baseball player after swinging his bat. He was motionless on the spot. As expected, he was stunned. However, from the stretching action, it could be seen that Ouyang Heng's stun did not affect Fatty's attack. Bai Xiaowen's body glowed. He used the mature green lotus seed to dispel the stun effect of Ocean Roar. He aimed his gun at Wu Chaojie with both hands and fired continuously. The butcher had just used the +7 enhanced skill of the scepter, Brutal Strike. This skill required a short time to charge up, but once it was swung, it could not be interrupted. In other words, it could only be interrupted during the charging phase. Once Fatty finished storing up his energy, he could only dodge or escape from Fatty's melee range. This was also a hidden detail that Bai Xiaowen had discovered after his experiments. Ouyang Heng did not know the details and suffered a great loss. Ouyang Heng struggled to get up, but waves of pain came from his legs. He looked down and saw that his left leg had been twisted to a strange degree. The Spirit Realm's precepts notification came: you have been hit by Savage Strike. Vitality check failed. Butcher's passive ability, Crush, is in effect. Your left leg has been fractured. You have entered a disabled state. Your movement speed has been reduced by 70%, your agility has been halved, and your evasion rate has been greatly reduced. Seeing that Bai Xiaowen ignored him and attacked Wu Chaojie first, Ouyang Heng felt humiliated and angry. However, he no longer had any trump cards to turn the tables around. There was no need for him to use the AoE buff scroll that he had prepared earlier. Bai Xiaowen did not kill Wu Chaojie first out of arrogance. Ouyang Heng was already disabled and was no longer a threat. It was better to leave him for last. This way, his resurrection would be delayed and he would be the last in line. This would give them more time to accumulate resources. Wu Chaojie, dead. Xiaisen, hunted down by Li Shi, dead. Ouyang Heng, dead. Qiao Rui's spiritual power was exhausted and he could not maintain his soul walking posture. He was also killed by Li Shi. A tsunami of applause sounded in the gymnasium. Oh my god! 2 against 5, and they managed to wipe out Yen University. How are these two so strong? Although the Jinghai University duo had the advantage of catching their opponents off guard, the difference in strength was clear at a glance. It's mainly because Bai Xiaowen is too strong. Bai Xiaowen's key skill, Talisman Switching, was used on Li Shi. He also used several summon creatures to freeze Qiao Rui. He only has 60% of his strength left to face Ouyang Heng and Wu Chaojie. I've seen all the videos of Bai Xiaowen's previous matches. He didn't take the initiative to attack until the semifinals. I can see that he has been hiding his strength. He really doesn't make a move, but when he does, it's earth-shattering. Bai Xiaowen's strength has surpassed the intermediate level. Among the intermediate level, he can no longer be described as the strongest. He should be called invincible. No matter how much advantage they have in terms of numbers, it's nothing in front of Bai Xiaowen. Most of the discussions and comments on the internet were amazed at Bai Xiaowen's strength. Some people also expressed their opinions about this match. At this point, the game has lost its suspense. This team wipe is too much for Yen University. Their total resurrection time is as long as 40 minutes. That's enough time for Jinghai University to clinch the victory. Yes, Jinghai University's choice to kill the 2 most threatening hero classes for last, completely eliminating any unstable factors. The 3 elite classes that were resurrected at the beginning can only cause some trouble for Jinghai University. They can't even be considered a small problem. It turned out that some viewers were overthinking. After Yen University was wiped out, Bai Xiaowen asked Li Shi to occupy the remaining resource buildings such as the mill, the research institute, and so on to dominate the entire map. He himself rowed a boat to the entrance of the red team's base camp. After his teammates were resurrected, Li Shi also went to the red team's base camp to block the entrance. This way, after Jingbing, Xiaisen, Wu Chaojie, and the others were resurrected, they had no ability to walk out of the base camp, let alone harass Jinghai University. They could only watch as Jinghai University's resource points continued to rise. In the end, Yen University unanimously chose to admit defeat. They had already calculated that before Ouyang Heng was resurrected, Jinghai University had accumulated nearly 300 resource points. Even if Yen University could turn the tables in the team battle, they would not be able to occupy all the resource buildings before Jinghai University accumulated 300 resource points. When the bell rang and the 5 victorious Jinghai University close-up appeared, the entire stadium burst into applause again. This victory meant that there was no third round. Jinghai University defeated Yen University cleanly 2-0 and won the championship of the CUAA League. At this point, the 2-month-long CUAA national competition was basically over. There was still a competition for third place between Qing University and Yunnan University tomorrow. However, in terms of excitement and attention, it was not as good as today's championship. Yay! We're the champions. Jinghai University, in the contestants' resting area. Yan Xiaoxin, Qingguowei, Yan Jun, Ding Cheng. A group of people stood up and cheered. They loudly praised the main players, especially the boss by Xiaowen's perfect performance. The music sounded. The main players of the two teams who had just fought a big battle reappeared in the stadium. However, 5 of them walked to the resting area in low spirits. The other 5 people, under the spotlight, walked to the center of the stadium with their heads held high. Xiaoku smiled. Student by Xiaowen, congratulations to your team for winning this crucial victory and winning this year's CUAA championship. How are you feeling now? Can you share your thoughts with everyone? It was not the first time Bai Xiaowen had experienced the feeling of being the center of attention. However, he enjoyed this feeling very much. As for his thoughts, Bai Xiaowen behaved more modestly. The bold words of being crowned king before the game were mainly to inspire the confidence of his teammates. It was also to cooperate with the organizers to hype up the atmosphere of the finals. Now that he had won the championship, there was no need to flatter himself to show off his strength. Winning the game, the bold words before the game could be interpreted as confidence. However, if he boasted after the game, it would be a little conceited in the eyes of the audience. Bai Xiaowen would not do something that might cause him to lose fans. Xiaoku asked the 5 main players one by one. Everyone had already unified their statements and acted modestly and low-key. In the end, Xiaoku congratulated Bai Xiaowen and the other 4. Then, it was time for the media reporters to interview them. Bai Xiaowen received a notification from the Spirit World's rules. Your team won the CUAA League Championship, all-win record. You have obtained a special achievement, CUAA League Championship. Based on your league performance, you have obtained a special title, All-Round Hegemon. All-Round Hegemon, designate a combat specialty or skill to obtain a passive buff, proficiency growth speed increased by 50%. Combat specialties and skills that exceed your profession level cannot enjoy the bonus effect of the All-Around Hegemon title. Cooldown time, 7 natural days. Bai Xiaowen was very happy. This was a very useful title. It was not used for combat, but for leveling up. It did not conflict with the strongest scholar title that he already had. When he was leveling up, he would wear the All-Around Hegemon title. When he was exploring the spirit world, he would use the strongest scholar title. The division of labor was very clear. The 50% increase in proficiency growth speed would allow Bai Xiaowen to save a lot of time to focus on his combat specialties and skills and strengthen his soft strength. With such a title as a reward, he could make up for the time and effort he spent participating in the CUAA League in the future. Moreover, there was also the international reputation and the school's reward. Of course, the Spirit World's rules did not only reward the champion with this. Based on your league performance, you have obtained the right to draw a golden roulette. Do you want to draw? After Bai Xiaowen checked, he clicked Cancel. The golden roulette sounded very awesome. He would slowly study it when he had the time. You have obtained an attribute point reward. Your main attribute, Spirit, has increased by 5 points. Compared to the above rewards, although the attribute point reward was not particularly high, it was still quite substantial. It was equivalent to Bai Xiaowen's spirit growth after leveling up by 1 level. In particular, spirit could not be improved by strengthening potions. It was even more precious. Bai Xiaowen dealt with the reporters while asking in a low voice through the team channel. Li Shi had also obtained a reward from the Spirit World's rules. His special achievement was also the champion of the CUAA League. However, his special title was the Warrior Star. It also increased the growth speed of his combat specialties and skill proficiency. the increase was only 25%, which was half of the all-around hegemon. It was also limited to melee combat specialties/skills. He did not qualify for the roulette. In terms of attribute points, he was the same as Bai Xiaowen. He was rewarded with 5 points of agility. Li Shi was very satisfied with his reward. However, after hearing Bai Xiaowen's reward, he pouted. What was the saying again? If you compare yourself to others, you should die. If you compare yourself to others, you should throw away your goods. Li Shi had performed well in the team. However, his reward was so much smaller than Bai Xiaowen's. One could imagine how much the others' rewards were. Bai Xiaowen did not ask about the others' rewards. If he asked Feng Xiang, it would be very awkward. Feng Xiang's face was flushed with excitement. Bai Xiaowen did not want to discourage him. In fact, Feng Xiang was the luckiest person in the team. He was much luckier than Chen Guowei and the other substitutes. Moreover, Feng Xiang was also very self-aware. Based on the strength that Bai Xiaowen had displayed in the final battle, Feng Xiang clearly understood that even if he had been replaced by Chen Guowei or not, Bai Xiaowen would still have been able to lead the team to the championship. Being able to receive attribute points, achievements, and titles were all unexpected gains. Originally, Feng Xiang would have been satisfied with just a little popularity and fame. The reporters' interviews were very brief. They mainly asked for an exclusive interview with Bai Xiaowen. If they could not get him, they would settle for the next best thing. Li Shi, Xiang Hui, Han Su, and other outstanding members of the team would also be available. If they could not, Feng Xiang would also accept. Only small media reporters who could not get an exclusive interview would seize the opportunity to ask a few more questions. Seeing Bai Xiaowen in high spirits under the spotlight, some people thought of his age and grade. Jinghai University has really dug up a treasure. He is only a freshman this year, but he already has the ability to dominate the CUAA competition. As long as there are no accidents, the CUAA competition will be his for the next 3 years. Jinghai University's dynasty has already begun to take shape. The so-called no accidents meant that he would not die accidentally. After all, the awakened ones ventured into the spiritual world and the wilderness. Riches and honor were found in the midst of danger. Sometimes, it was inevitable that they would encounter danger. Every year, many awakened ones died an unnatural death. The proportion of young awakened ones was particularly high. In the beginning, Jinghai University gave so many generous conditions to attract Bai Xiaowen to the school. Now it seems that these conditions are too worth it. I really regret not listening to you earlier. In the inner field near the resting area of Yen University, a beautiful woman wearing glasses sighed. Behind this beautiful woman with glasses, Qiao Rui said softly, "Sister, the conditions given to you by the school are limited. You don't have to blame yourself too much." At that time, the school did not have specific combat information on Xiaowen at all. Jinghai University took advantage of this. We can't do anything about it. This beautiful woman with glasses was Qiao Wei, a teacher at Yen University who was in charge of enrollment at that time. She was also the lead teacher of the school team of Yen University. Her position was similar to Yen Xiaoxin's. However, as the lead teacher, she did not have any real power. The person in charge of the school team of Yen University was someone else. In comparison, Qiao Wei was actually more of a leader. Why did Yen University lose? I don't think it was because of strength. The square warrior Wu Chaojie said loudly to the microphone handed over by a reporter, "If we unite, we will definitely win." Chapter 594. That's right. Our team has 2 hero professions, and everyone else's individual strength is also above their peers from Jinghai University. We lost in the end because someone in the team had a problem with their attitude during the competition and didn't give it their all. Wu Chaojie said firmly. The reporter's breathing was a little heavy. He was originally an unlucky person who couldn't get an interview with Bai Xiaowen, so he came to interview the loser. In the end, Ouyang Heng refused the interview and left the venue early. No one knew where he was now. He wanted to give it a try and interview someone else, but he didn't expect to hit the jackpot. It would be a pity if we lost the competition like this. Can you tell us the details, Wu Chaojie? Qiao Wei couldn't help but frown when she heard this. Wu Chaojie. Don't talk nonsense in front of the media. Wu Chaojie snorted. Teacher Qiao, you know very well whether I'm talking nonsense or not. Is there something fishy between Qiao Rui and Jinghai University's team captain, Bai Xiaowen? I don't believe that you don't know anything about it. You're unreasonable. Calm down. Let's get out of here first. Qiao Wei felt a headache coming on when she saw the reporters surrounding them like sharks that smelled blood. She tried to stop Wu Chaojie while she dialed Ouyang Heng's number. Qiao Wei's warning didn't work. Wu Chaojie only hesitated for a moment and didn't choose to leave. However, since the reporters found a loophole, they certainly wouldn't let go of this big news. All kinds of guesses and leading questions were thrown out one after another. Moreover, not only was Wu Chaojie surrounded by reporters, but even Qiao Rui was affected. Is there really a serious internal problem in Yan University's team? Student Qiao Rui, what's your relationship with Jinghai University's team captain, Bai Xiaowen? Did you treat him seriously during the competition? Did you disclose the information and tactics of Yan University's team to Jinghai University? The chaotic scene of reporters surrounding them also attracted the attention of others in the stadium. Fortunately, the champion was decided, and the audience gradually left. Bai Xiaowen glanced sideways and saw Wu Chaojie, whose face was flushed red. Is it internal strife? In the center of the stadium, Bai Xiaowen, who was surrounded by the media, frowned and focused on the resting area of the Yan University team. Faced with the reporters' questions, Qiao Rui's expression was very indifferent. He only slightly opened up his spiritual energy force field and pushed the reporters 5 feet away. He did not say a word. Not long after, Ouyang Heng ran over. Wu Chaojie, are you crazy? Ouyang Heng looked at the reporters surrounding them and scolded angrily. Come with me. I'm not leaving. Wu Chaojie seemed to feel wronged and said loudly, Boss, you can't take the blame for others. I'm well aware of the relationship between Qiao Rui and Bai Xiaowen. Wu Chaojie, you've gone too far. Xing Bing couldn't stand it anymore. Xiaoyisen also said, that's right, Senior Qiao Rui has done her best. We're all comrades in the same team, so we shouldn't suspect each other. Wu Chaojie interrupted the two and snorted, comrade in arms? Not necessarily. Qiao Rui, let me ask you, when I used the captain's character to promote him in the video, were you the one who controlled Bai Xiaowen's character and came to cause trouble? Did you think that we wouldn't recognize you just because you used teacher Qiao Wei's online account? Do you know how ugly Boss Ouyang's expression was at that time? Hearing this, Bai Xiaowen came to a realization. It turned out that the OP who posted the Marine Marshal promotion was Wu Chaojie himself. His intention was very clear. He wanted to use the Marine Marshal's character to trample on the Psychic Prince character and increase the popularity of Ouyang Heng's character. And the mysterious challenger with the real name Qiao Wei on the internet was actually Qiao Rui. It was no wonder that the challenger displayed such a powerful meditation ability. Ouyang Heng and Wu Chaojie were more familiar with Qiao Rui and guessed the identity of the other party as soon as they fought, so they admitted defeat at that time. What made Bai Xiaowen puzzled was why did Qiao Rui use the Psychic Prince character to issue a challenge? At that time, he shouldn't have known Qiao Rui yet. Qiao Rui stood up for him, which was a bit abnormal. In the resting area of Swallow Capital University. Qiao Rui nodded slightly, that challenger was me. Ouyang Heng was silent. Wu Chaojie seemed to have obtained evidence and shouted, see, you actually went to this extent for Bai Xiaowen, and you still say that you didn't go easy on him? Maybe our detailed information has already been leaked to Jinghai University. Don't you guys think so? He looked at the other teammates for support. However, Xing Bing and Xiaoyisen both avoided his gaze. Xiaoyisen said softly, Wu Chaojie, we are not as good as him. Don't say anymore. Xing Bing said, yes, we are very clear about the last battle. The whole team was in peak condition, but we still couldn't win 5 against 2. This is not a gap that can be made up for by any information or tactics. No matter how many times we play, the result will be the same. Xiao Wei pushed up her glasses and said coldly, Wu Chaojie, are you done? You will only make others laugh at Swallow Capital University for being a sore loser. Wu Chaojie's thick and short neck turned red, but he braced himself and didn't take a step back. He secretly glanced at Ouyang Heng from the corner of his eyes. Qiao Rui looked calm. He first looked at Jingbing and Xiaoyisen, thank you for your trust. After a pause, Qiao Rui looked at Wu Chaojie and Ouyang Heng. After fighting side by side for 2 years, the school team is disbanding, and everyone is going to go their separate ways. After all, we have fought side by side for 2 years, and there are many precious memories. I don't want to turn against each other in the end. You want me to be responsible for the failure of the last battle, and I can take responsibility. Don't argue about right and wrong. That's it. Goodbye. Qiao Rui threw down the last 2 words, got up, and walked out of the stadium. The reporters who tried to stop him were gently pushed away by the psionic power field. Qiao Wei, Jingbing, and Xiaoyisen chased after him, leaving only Wu Chaojie and Ouyang Heng with stupefied expressions. In the center of the stadium, Li Shuyi also noticed the internal strife of Swallow Capital University. He whispered, Senior Qiao Rui is so pitiful. His performance was the best, and he was the biggest threat to us. But in the end, Ouyang Heng and Wu Chaojie still pushed the blame to him. These 2 people are too unmanly. I just heard that Qiao Rui used the Psychic Prince character to challenge Wu Chaojie's Navy Admiral character. With such a thorn in their hearts, Ouyang Heng and Wu Chaojie, who are unwilling to accept defeat, will inevitably vent their anger. In fact, they are subconsciously pushing the blame to others, Bai Xiaowen said softly. In fact, Bai Xiaowen had seen a lot of Wu Chaojie's mentality. Even in a LOL game in another time and space, such people were very common. For example, if the top laner was continuously killed by the opponent and snowballed, he would scold the jungler for not coming and the opponent's jungler came many times. If the jungler came and was killed, he would scold the jungler for coming at the wrong time and not being of help and sharing his experience, causing his level to be suppressed by the opponent. In short, very few people would find fault with themselves. It was as difficult to admit that they were bad as to admit that others were good. How can we help Senior Qiao Rui? I can't watch it anymore, Li Shi said. Bai Xiaowen shook his head. If we go, we will only be of more help than help. This is not a big deal. Isn't it just teammates in the university league? They are going to graduate and break up. In the future, they might not have the chance to fight side by side. The dust has settled. The dark horse Jinghai University has won the CUAA championship. Bai Xiaowen, we will be crowned kings. Shocking. He is the strongest in CUAA. The Great Yan dynasty has collapsed. The foundation of a new dynasty has been laid. The first batch of news articles on the internet was freshly released with the end of the CUAA championship battle. The last battle really shocked everyone. When Bai Xiaowen showed all his strength and led Li Shui, an elite class, to defeat the luxurious lineup of the Great Yan University team led by 2 hero classes, everyone realized how strong Bai Xiaowen was. Looking at his previous opponents, Duan Mucheng, Bao Yiming, and the twin stars of NTU, were all too weak. They were not even qualified for Bai Xiaowen to take the initiative to make a move. Bai Xiaowen did not take the initiative to make a move in the previous elimination matches. Others thought that this was a normal situation for a summoner. Bai Xiaowen's energy was used to control summon creatures and his combat ability was weak. However, in the semi-finals, he first defeated Qin University and then Great Yan University. These 2 rounds of games completely changed everyone's opinion. How was this a weak combat ability? He was clearly hiding his strength. It was fine if he did not make a move, but once he made a move, it was fatal. Of course, as the loser, the internal strife that broke out in the final stage of the Great Yan University team also made a lot of media reports on the internet. In all fairness, Great Yan University's defeat was mainly due to the gap in strength. If there were other reasons, it would be blamed on the stubbornness of the captain, Ouyang Hung. He was obviously not Bai Xiaowen's opponent, but he insisted on sending himself to death time and time again, causing Great Yan University to fall into a passive position. However, with this internal strife and Qiao Rui's words of being willing to take responsibility, many people's views were a little biased. They gradually attributed the reason for Great Yan University's defeat to Qiao Rui. In short, they felt that as a new dark horse, Jinghai University, no matter how strong they were, would not be able to crush the old king, Great Yan University in strength. There must be an internal problem in Great Yan University, so they were willing to dig deeper into the reasons from within. On the internet, posts and videos about Wu Chaojia's promotion of the Marine Fleet Admiral and was defeated by Qiao Rui's Psychic Prince character were also dug up. As a result, more people began to believe that Qiao Rui and Bai Xiaowen had something fishy that caused Great Yan University to lose the finals. If there was nothing fishy, why would he challenge his teammate's character for no reason and stand up for Bai Xiaowen's character? Was Qiao Rui a hidden spy of Great Yan University? He secretly submitted some information to Jinghai University and did not contribute in the competition? After the conspiracy theories fermented, the outside world's evaluation of Ouyang Hung rose a little. Many people believe that although Ouyang Hung was not as good as Bai Xiaowen, he was also an outstanding genius awakener. His strength was not much different from Bai Xiaowen's. At the Golden Stone Hotel where the Jinghai University team stayed, Bai Xiaowen was being interviewed by reporter Wei Xiaoxiao. After learning about the trend of public opinion from Wei Xiaoxiao, Bai Xiaowen suddenly had a feeling of realization. Originally, he thought that Wu Chaojia's public reprimand of Qiao Rui was childish and ignorant. Now, he felt some hidden malice. Perhaps, Wu Chaojia's words were instigated by Ouyang Hung himself. Think about it, in the finals, Ouyang Hung was killed by Bai Xiaowen in different ways and positions. His corpse was enough to circle the earth 3.5 times. Don't forget that Bai Xiaowen was 3 years younger than Ouyang Hung. He was only a freshman. If Ouyang Hung did nothing, the outside world's public opinion would inevitably be extremely unfavorable to him. He would undoubtedly become Bai Xiaowen's stepping stone. He had awakened so many years ago and still could not beat a newcomer. The reputation of the king of the CUAA League that he had accumulated over the years would probably be directly shattered. This would be a heavy blow to Ouyang Hung. Not to mention the problem of the popularity of the Marine Admiral character on the virtual battle platform, the decline of the world's popularity alone would be a great blow to Ouyang Hung's vitality. Not to mention, Ouyang Hung was currently in the graduation season. With his qualifications, he could take a lucrative long-term contract with any A-class guild in the country. He had a lot of choices. Any A-class guild would raise their hands to welcome a hero with potential like Ouyang Hung. He could choose an A-class guild whose core was about to retire. After 1 or 2 years of growth, after having the strength of an advanced hero, it would be time for the boss to retire. He could take over and become the new core, the rising star of the A-class league. If he did nothing and was directly trampled by Bai Xiaowen, the interest of those big guilds would be greatly reduced. When that time came, would he still have such a big choice? Now, after Wu Chaojia's performance, the reason for the loss was pushed to Qiao Rui. Ouyang Hung would definitely be affected. The outside world's evaluation of him was still not as good as Bai Xiaowen's, but under the circumstances where the gap was not big, many big guilds would still chase after him as a target. This was thanks to Bai Xiaowen being in his first year of university this year. There were still 3 years before he graduated from his senior year. After thinking this through, Bai Xiaowen felt that Qiao Rui was not worth it. As an opponent, Bai Xiaowen knew best whether Qiao Rui had gone easy on him or not. Classmate Bai Xiaowen, do you have any plans for the future? Wei Xiaoxiao's lively eyes had a trace of inquiry as she looked at the curve of Bai Xiaowen's jaw. Her heart rippled a little. Interviewing Bai Xiaowen was really a delightful thing. Yes, study hard and improve every day. Bai Xiaowen smiled. I mean, what do you think of the CUAA League next year and the next few years? Wei Xiaoxiao pouted. We are old friends. Don't use some official lines to fool me. If you have any expectations for the future, just say it. Give me some good news material. It had to be said that a beautiful and youthful reporter had an advantage in an interview. I want to be the CUAA champion for the next 3 years and become a quadruple champion. Bai Xiaowen said seriously. Then, he smiled and said, "Do you want to hear the sentence?" Wei Xiaoxiao blinked. Is that not the case? Chapter 595. In a corner of the bar. Ouyang sat in the bar, accompanied by his friends, Lin Haoyang, Wu Chaojie, and the others. Looking at Ouyang expression, he seemed to have walked out of the depression of losing the finals. When the bar owner, Li Shui, personally brought over a tray of wine, he touched Li Shui's perky buttocks. Wu Chaojie didn't notice this, but it couldn't escape Lin Haoyang's perception. He shook his head and said, "Looks like you don't need any consolation." Wu Chaojie laughed and said, "Boss, although the ending of the University League wasn't perfect, the results in the past 2 years are still obvious to all. Many guilds have been chasing Boss to sign a contract. He's a busy man now." Ouyang smiled and said, "Haoyang found his next club before the semi-finals and signed a contract. Otherwise, there would be many guilds looking for you." Lin Haoyang said, "I signed in advance because I thought I couldn't win the championship, that was the truth." The reason why Ouyang pushed the signing time to after the tournament was to use the momentum of winning the CUAA championship to increase his bargaining chip. Although there were some accidents in the end and he didn't win the championship as he wished, Ouyang strength was still the strongest among this year's university graduates. It was reasonable for guilds to chase after him. Lin Haoyang said again, "You're so busy, but you still have time to hang out? Shouldn't you hurry up and negotiate with those big guilds?" Wu Chaojie said, "Boss made an appointment with them to talk here." "Here?" Lin Haoyang looked around. It seems a bit too casual. Won't those guild representatives feel like they're not valued? Ouyang waved his hand and smiled indifferently. "What does that have to do with anything? A guild that values me will naturally have to show enough sincerity. If they can't even find a place to negotiate, how can they value me? This is also a screening threshold. I'll let Sister Shui check for me." "Okay. Since you want to talk business, I'll go first." Lin Haoyang stood up. "Let's meet again next time." Ouyang nodded slightly. When Lin Haoyang left the bar, he bumped into a group of people. They were all dressed in suits and leather shoes, which did not fit in with the casual and quiet atmosphere created by the soothing music in the bar. This group of people was obviously here to negotiate with Ouyang. When the man in a suit saw Ouyang, he quickly walked over. Lin Haoyang didn't speak much on the surface, but in fact, he was very curious. To put it bluntly, he was a man of few words. He didn't walk out of the bar. Instead, he flashed into the bathroom. Under the concentration of his spiritual power, the low voices of the conversation drilled into his ears. "Hello, Ouyang. I'm Yong Chao, the manager of Swallow Cloud Guild's HR department. I'm here to," Ouyang's voice sounded, "I know. I know exactly why Manager Yi is here. However, I've also made an appointment with others. It won't be too late to start the discussion when everyone is here." "All right." Lin Haoyang waited patiently and listened carefully. A few more groups of people arrived one after another. They were all representatives from various large and small guilds. Among them, there were 3 that were more impressive. They were Swallow Cloud Guild, Misty Rain Guild, and Southern Cross Guild. Lin Haoyang secretly thought that there should be more than these 3 big guilds chasing after Ouyang. Perhaps some of the guilds had already been filtered out and didn't meet Ouyang's expectations. "Thank you for your attention. As I'm a little short on time, I'll be going to the spiritual realm soon to train, so I'll make it short." Ouyang's voice was filled with confidence. "Everyone here is a representative from various guilds. You're all here to invite me to join your guild. Next, I'll consider 2 aspects. One is the guild's background and strength, and the other is the guild's position towards me, as well as the training plan. After Ouyang Heng spoke, the big and small guilds' representatives all spoke up. The scene was a little chaotic for a moment. Swallow Cloud Guild is located in Beijing, in the center of Huaxia. It's a good location and has all kinds of secret places and strengthening resources. As for the guild's strength, Swallow Cloud Guild itself is a strong team in the first league. In the last league, they were in the top 8. Joining us is the wisest choice for student Ouyang. Swallow Cloud Guild's main members are still in their prime. If student Ouyang joins Swallow Cloud Guild, you'll have to start as a substitute. Even if you enter the main team later on, you'll only be a foil. Why don't you consider our Swift Pass Guild? We promise to train you as a core member. Swift Pass? I've never heard of this team. They can't even make it into the first league, right? Our Southern Cross Guild's main force is about to retire. Their position is similar to student Ouyang's, they're both violent fighters. After student Ouyang joins us, you'll be trained as a future core member. Lin Haoyang couldn't help but sigh when he heard the enthusiasm of the big and small guilds' representatives. Although he and Ouyang Heng had grown up together, it was precisely because they were friends that there was competition. Ouyang Heng had always been on top of him, and now it was the same during graduation season. Beep beep beep. Lin Haoyang's phone vibrated. He looked down and saw that it was Fang Zi calling. Lin Haoyang hid in the bathroom a little guiltily and answered the call. Z. On the other side of the phone, Fang Zi's voice was very short. Have you seen the news in the virtual community, Haoyang? No, what's the matter? Bai Xiaowen announced that he's going to graduate early. Oh, I got it, Lin Haoyang replied casually, then suddenly realized something. Wait a minute. Bai Xiaowen is only a freshman this year. He's going to graduate early? Yes, this is his last semester. He's confirmed that he won't be participating in the CUAA League next year. He'll be transferring to the Pro League. Fang Zi spoke as fast as a bullet. Oh my god, I really don't understand what he's thinking. He can already do whatever he wants in the CUAA League. Why is he leaving early? Lin Haoyang murmured, now he's in the same year as us. Yes, since we're in the same year, it's inevitable that we'll be compared. Fortunately, we signed the contract before the semi-finals, so we won't be affected, Fang Zi said. Has Bai Xiaowen decided to join a guild? Lin Haoyang asked. No news yet, Fang Zi said. This is going to be interesting. Lin Haoyang hung up the phone and logged into the CUAA League section of the virtual community. As expected, he saw a piece of news that had been forwarded many times and was at the top of the list. New champion Bai Xiaowen plans to graduate early or enter the Pro League. After carefully reading the news article written by the reporter named Wei Xiaoxiao, Lin Haoyang was 80 to 90% sure of it. He closed his phone and walked out of the bathroom. He walked through the corridor and left the bar. It didn't matter what the guild representatives talked about with Ouyang Heng. He could already guess what would happen next. In the future, I'll also meet Bai Xiaowen in the Pro League. Not only him, but there will be even more powerful opponents. I have to strengthen my training and buy more spiritual realm tickets to increase my strength as soon as possible. In the Pro League, I don't want to lose to anyone. The negotiations in the bar continued. Seeing the various guild representatives tossing out generous conditions one after another, even competing with each other until their faces turned red, Ouyang Heng's mood greatly improved. I enjoy the feeling of being sought after. Ouyang Heng muttered in his heart. At this moment, the last representative had finished speaking. Ouyang Heng raised his hand and smiled. Everyone's conditions are very good. Now, I want to reiterate 2 points. First, I will only accept invitations from A-class guilds. Second, I hope to become the core of the team within 2 years. This must be written in the contract. Buzz buzz. Yi Yongchao's phone vibrated. He glanced at the caller ID on the screen and his expression became serious. He said softly, "Sorry, I have to take this call." Coincidentally, the HR manager of the Southern Cross Guild, Jing Qingji's phone also vibrated. He also apologized and ran to the side to take the call. It was like a contagious disease. More than half of the guild representatives stopped the negotiations and ran out to take the call. In an instant, only a few people were left in front of Ouyang Hung. "What's going on?" Ouyang Hung was stunned. Wu Chaojie smiled. "Boss, isn't it obvious? They can't make the decision on these conditions. They can only ask the boss. They didn't directly refuse. This means that the conditions are within their scope of negotiation." Ouyang Hung smiled and nodded. He then looked at the several guild representatives before him with a sense of superiority. These people didn't call to ask for instructions. "Everyone, please wait for a while. We'll talk when the other guild representatives come back." Ouyang Hung was confident of victory. The few people looked at each other. Someone stood up, apologized, and left. Ouyang Hung didn't mind. The other party was a B-class guild representative. After hearing his two conditions, they probably thought that there was no hope and left. Ouyang Hung muttered in his heart. Who gave a B-class guild the courage to fight for the title of CUAA's strongest player? Not long after, Yeong Chao and the others came back. "Have you all made up your minds?" Ouyang Hung held these representatives of grade A guilds in high regard. "Sorry." Yeong Chao picked up the jacket on the back of the chair. "I suddenly have something urgent to deal with. I'll leave first. I also received a call from the guild. There's something urgent to deal with. Student Ouyang, the doors of our Southern Cross Guild will always be open to you, if you can lower your requirements." Jing Qingji said and left in a hurry. "Sorry, excuse me. We'll talk another day." Misty Rain's representative also left. Some of the representatives of the remaining guilds received text messages, while others received emails. They whispered a few words to each other before taking their leave one after another. Ouyang Hung and Wu Chaojie were dumbfounded, black face with a question mark. Who am I? Where am I? What happened? His phone rang. Ouyang Hung received a voice message. Lin Haoyang had sent him a message. After reading this message, Ouyang Hung was silent for a long time. In front of the capital's teleportation circle. Senior Qiao Rui, thank you for seeing us off. Bai Xiaowen reached out to grab Qiao Rui's hand and shook it lightly. Li Shi whispered, Senior Qiao Rui, don't worry too much about what happened on the internet. Anyone with eyes can see that Wu Chaojie and the others made it up. Qiao Rui brushed her hair behind her ear and smiled. It's okay. I don't care anymore. That's good. If it were me, I'd be angry for a few days, Li Shi said. Qiao Rui stared at Bai Xiaowen for a long time. Xiaowen, I'll give you something as a parting gift. Please don't refuse it. Qiao Rui reached out and an ordinary-looking gray stone appeared in her palm. Bai Xiaowen was stunned. This is... He activated insight. Mysterious stone, special item. Rich psionic energy is sealed in this stone. It's just an ordinary stone. A parting gift. Qiao Rui's smile had a hint of mystery. Then I'll accept it. As a return gift, I hope you'll accept my gift as well. Bai Xiaowen put away the mysterious stone and handed a town portal scroll to Qiao Rui. Back then, Bai Xiaowen had exchanged for a total of 3 town portal scrolls. He and Li Shi each had one as a backup and had never used it. He originally wanted to sell the extra scroll in an auction or in the virtual lobby. However, Bai Xiaowen did not lack psionic energy points, so he kept it and did not sell it. After all, it was a valuable item. The value of a town portal scroll was hard to estimate, but no one would complain about having too many. Qiao Rui hesitated for a moment, but she didn't refuse. Instead, she took the return scroll. Senior, there's something I'd like to discuss with you, Bai Xiaowen looked at Qiao Rui's slender eyes. I plan to graduate early and participate in the Pro League. I'll build a team from scratch. Currently, there are only 3 confirmed members in the team, me, Han Su, and Li Shi. You want me to join? Xiao Rui asked. Yes, I hope you can join, Bai Xiaowen said seriously. I'll think about it. Xiao Rui chuckled. I'd prefer to find a permanent teammate to explore the spiritual world and participate in the pro league together. The hint in this sentence seemed a little obvious. Bai Xiaowen sighed. I really want to invite you to join my permanent Spirit Realm team, but it's a pity that my Spirit Realm team only has 2 spots, and they're all full. In the future, the spiritual world team will be able to level up. When the number of spots increases, I'll be the first to invite you. After a pause, Bai Xiaowen smiled. That's why we should start cultivating chemistry from now on. We'll start with the Earth League team. Don't worry, I haven't decided if I want to join you. Xiao Rui restrained herself appropriately. It'll depend on fate. If we meet in the spiritual world in the future, I'll join you. This probability. Bai Xiaowen shook his head and smiled bitterly. If fate wills it, we'll definitely meet. Xiao Rui smiled playfully. The teleportation portal is ready. It's time to go back. Yan Xiaoxin walked over. How should she describe Yan Xiaoxin's mood recently? Ice and fire. Bai Xiaowen had led the team and won the championship, giving her too many surprises. She had thought that it would take 2 years of hard work and wait until the golden generation graduated before they could show results. She did not expect Bai Xiaowen to help the school win the golden CUAA championship in his first year. Chapter 596. Move and hit. Before he stepped into the teleportation portal, Bai Xiaowen's phone rang. An unfamiliar number was displayed on the screen. Who is it? Li Shui asked. I don't know. Maybe it's a representative from one of the guilds. Bai Xiaowen hung up. Xiaowen, are you doing this on purpose? Li Shui asked. You deliberately announced your early graduation and didn't specify which guild you signed with. Aren't you purposely attracting those guild representatives to negotiate with you? Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. Bai Xiaowen smiled. It's probably because of Senior Xiao Rui. Li Shui pursed his lips. It's mainly because I don't like Ouyang Heng. This guy isn't a man, Bai Xiaowen said. Your early graduation will definitely affect his chances of signing with us. However, once the news of you signing with Super Gods is confirmed, he will probably still receive invitations from those big guilds, Li Shui said. Xiang Hui, who was walking in front, turned his head and said, No, the impact will still be there. Ouyang Heng was the top graduate in this year's batch, but since Old Bai graduated early, he's no longer the top graduate. Those big guilds who think they're rich won't be willing to pay too much for second place. After a pause, Xiang Hui concluded, I'm afraid Ouyang Heng has been tricked by you. Ha! Forget it. Bai Xiaowen waved his hand. The CUAA League is over. It's time to return to school. Bai Xiaowen returned to Jinghai City with the honor of being the champion of the International Pharmacologist Competition and the champion of the CUAA League. Unsurprisingly, he caused a sensation. Originally, there were still quite a number of people in Jinghai City who didn't know Bai Xiaowen. However, after returning with the honor, he had basically become a household name in Jinghai City and had become one of the city's main attractions. This was how a B-level celebrity should behave. Bai Xiaowen had become the city's star. Of course, the CUAA League was not the same as the professional league. After the competition ended, the popularity would gradually decrease. Bai Xiaowen's current B-level global reputation would slowly decline over time. However, Bai Xiaowen and the team led by his sister Zheng would maintain his exposure. As long as Bai Xiaowen could maintain his B-level popularity for 3 months, he would be able to draw a B-level roulette. However, before that, Bai Xiaowen still had the right to draw the golden roulette. As soon as he returned to the Taoran residence of Jinghai University, he immediately turned on the roulette. The golden will appeared amidst the flashing golden light. The golden light, the golden base, and the platinum needle all spoke of the preciousness of this lucky draw opportunity. Compared to the usual popular lucky draw, it was several levels higher. Unlike the ordinary reputation roulette, there were 5 regions of different sizes on the golden roulette. They were marked with different colors and numbers. The smaller the region whereby Xiaowen's final needle landed, in other words, the smaller the number, the higher the rarity of the lucky draw item. However, the specific item was still random. Bai Xiaowen grabbed Li Shi's small hand and blew on it. Then, he moved the needle. The platinum needle spun rapidly. After an unknown number of rounds, the needle slowed down and began to move slowly. Region 5, Region 4, Region 3, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi both held their breaths. The needle had already reached Region 1. Then, it slowly walked over. Sigh. The two of them sighed in unison. Fortunately, although the needle's speed was already as slow as a turtle's crawl, it still moved tenaciously and passed Region 5, which was the largest region. Then, at the speed of a snail, it passed Region 4, followed by Region 3. Go a little further, go a little further. Bai Xiaowen urged softly. However, the needle was just so disobedient. Like an old man with one foot in the grave, it slowly came to a stop. The place where it had stopped was the junction between Region 3 and Region 2. What's this? Li Shi said gloomily. Just go a little further, even if it's just 1 millimeter. No, this situation will be counted as Region 2. Bai Xiaowen laughed. When we used the reputation roulette previously, the rules of this junction were the same. The glow of the golden roulette dissipated and finally turned into a small, antique bottle that was as thick as a finger and fell into Bai Xiaowen's palm. The spiritual realm's rules prompted the message, "You've received an item, Holy Water of Resurrection." Holy Water of Resurrection, C-grade gold item. After use, it can resurrect a spiritual realm character below commander level, including commander level, and obtain random strengthening effects. This item can only be used on spiritual realm characters below level 10. It will disappear after use. Resurrection potion? Li Shi exclaimed. Bai Xiaowen shook his head. It can only be used on spiritual realm characters. It will definitely be ineffective on awakened ones, other humans on Earth, or non-humanoid creatures. I see. Li Shi's interest was dampened. If it can resurrect an awakened one, it will definitely be more than a C-grade gold item. However, this bottle of Holy Water of Resurrection is also a very valuable item. If used properly, it can play a great role, Bai Xiaowen said. Yes, the help of a commander-level powerhouse is very useful, Li Shi said. It might not necessarily be used on a commander-level powerhouse, Bai Xiaowen said with a smile. Broaden your horizons. Think about it. If Ramses II was about to die, how convenient would it be to resurrect him? After a pause, Bai Xiaowen continued, this potion can also be used from another angle. If there is a boss similar to the Priest of Silent Tongue and we want to obtain a specific piece of equipment from him, what if we don't have something like the Book of Fate Revelation? Li Shi's eyes widened. You're not thinking of, it's exactly what you're thinking. After killing the boss and obtaining the treasure chest, we can use the Holy Water of Resurrection to revive him and kill him again. With 2 draws, won't the probability of drawing a specific piece of equipment be doubled? Bai Xiaowen smiled. It's just that we don't know what the random strengthening effects of the Holy Water of Resurrection will be, so we have to be careful with this idea. Xiaowen, I think, if we cut you open, you'll definitely be black inside, Li Shi said. Bai Xiaowen shrugged. Someone knocked on the door of Taoran restaurant. When Bai Xiaowen opened the door, he was shocked. The person standing at the door was actually the principal of Jinghai University, Yan Buiyuan. This was the first time Bai Xiaowen had seen Yan Buiyuan, but he had seen the principal's photo many times. Jinghai University had many places, so he recognized him without much effort. Yan Xiaoxin was beside Yan Buiyuan. Chapter 597. Yan Buiyuan was tall and burly. He was actually over 80 years old, but he did not look old at all. He looked about the same as people in their 50s in the Christian era. Student by Xiaowen, you've won great honor for the school this time. On behalf of the school, I'd like to express my gratitude to you, Yan Buiyuan said with a smile after taking a seat. Principal, you're too kind. This is the result of everyone's hard work. Not arrogant in victory, not discouraged in defeat. You have a steady mentality. Yan Buiyuan smiled. However, you've won honor for the school, so you should be rewarded. After some research, the school has decided to give the school team a total of 100,000 honor points as a reward. Do you have any suggestions on how to distribute these honor points? 100,000 honor points? Li Shi was shocked. This was not a small number. To reiterate, Jinghai University's honor points were different from points. They could be used to exchange for access to the trial space. After passing the trial, one could receive generous rewards, including access to the spiritual realm. Honor points could only be obtained by students who had won honor for the school. They could not be traded, so they were much more valuable than points. I don't have any suggestions. The school will decide how to distribute them, Bai Xiaowen said. Yan Xiaoxin said, according to the contribution of the competition, you have the highest contribution and are the team leader, so you can receive half of the total reward, 50,000 honor points. The other 4 main members of the school team will each receive 10,000 honor points. The 5 substitute members will each receive 2,000 honor points. The price of using honor points to buy access to the trial space increased gradually. 200 for the first time, 500 for the second, 1,000 honor points for the third, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and so on. What did 50,000 honor points mean? Even if the price increased gradually, Bai Xiaowen could buy access to the trial space 14 or 15 times. This was equivalent to more than a dozen free tickets to the spiritual realm. Not to mention, entering the trial space would increase experience and proficiency, as well as additional treasure chest rewards. The rewards are indeed generous. Unfortunately, I'm graduating early. I'm afraid these honor points will go to waste, Bai Xiaowen said, shaking his head. Bai Xiaowen decided to graduate early. He only had about 2 months left in the school. There were more than a dozen tickets to the spirit world, and there was no way he could use them all. If he handed in his student card after graduation, he wouldn't be able to trade the extra honor points he earned, so he could only waste them. Yan Buiyuan smiled with his eyes narrowed. I've also heard from Teacher Yan that you're graduating early. Bai Xiaowen, I think you're still young. You've just turned 18, so you don't have to rush to graduate. Yan Xiaoxin said, that's right. Excellent hunters from other universities, such as Qi Ruifeng and Lin Haoyang, have never thought of graduating early. If they can still participate in the CUAA League by delaying their graduation, most of them will choose to be in their 5th or 6th year. The rules of the spiritual realm were very strict about the qualifications to participate in CUAA. Students could only be in their 4th year at most. In the past, there had been outstanding star students who had reached an agreement with the school to delay their graduation and participate in the CUAA League in their 5th year. However, in the end, the rules of the spirit realm determined that they had cheated. That year, the student school was the runner-up, but they didn't receive any rewards. Not only that, but the rewards for the champion and runner-up teams were also greatly reduced. The attitude of the spirit realm's rules determined the attitude of the officials. Since then, the officials had disqualified all awakened students who delayed their graduation from the CUAA League. It was normal for excellent students to want to stay in the University League for 2 more years. On one hand, it was better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. In the University League, one could summon the wind and summon the rain. However, in the professional league, it was inevitable that one would fade into the crowd. This kind of psychological gap wasn't something that everyone could accept with a normal heart. On the other hand, the top 3 teams in the league could receive rewards from the spirit realm's rules. The chances of staying in the CUAA League and winning the championship were very high. However, if one wanted to win the championship after entering the professional league, the difficulty would be many times higher. Yan Xiaoxin continued, Student Bai Xiaowen, I suggest that you study in the university for 2 more years. At least stay for 1 more year. This way, your honor points and access to the trial space won't be wasted. The school will provide you with the best environment for growth and won't restrict you in any way. Bai Xiaowen understood in his heart. The 50,000 honor points were both a reward and a bait that the school wanted him to stay. Li Shi was a little tempted. Through the team channel, he whispered to Bai Xiaowen, "Xiaowen, this is a rare opportunity. Why don't you reconsider? I know that you want to help the guild rise again, but we can't let this affect your growth." Everyone's gazes were fixed on Bai Xiaowen, waiting for his answer. "I'm sorry, I still can't stay in the university." Bai Xiaowen said apologetically, "For me, the CUAA League is no longer challenging. If I participate in the CUAA League as a sophomore, it will be a waste of my time. It won't help my combat experience at all. I want to enter a higher-level professional league and fight against stronger opponents." A scene flashed through Bai Xiaowen's mind. It was the lonely figure of Li Beihai walking out of the competition venue without looking back after being ridiculed by Wu Chonglian. Before that, Bai Xiaowen hadn't thought of graduating early. However, after watching that match, Bai Xiaowen had made a decision in his heart. Defeating the old king, Yin University, and winning the CUAA championship was the curtain call of his university career. Jinghai University's preferential treatment of recruiting him was not in vain. "Okay." Yan Boyuan gently patted Yan Xiaoxin's shoulder and stopped her from continuing to persuade him. He smiled and said, "As a genius that only appears once in a decade, it's normal for you to have this idea. Graduating early and fighting on a bigger stage is a good thing. The university won't stop you." "Thank you, Principal," said Bai Xiaowen. "No need to thank me. If you want to thank me, it should be the university thanking you." Yan Boyuan sighed and said, "Jinghai University's ranking in the CUAA League has never been high. In the year that you came, you helped the university complete the transition from barely making it to the CUAA championship. This is a great contribution to the university. Compared to a CUAA championship trophy, Jinghai University can be said to have invested very little in you." After a pause, Yan Boyuan said, "You don't have to worry about honor points. Even if you graduate early, the university can make an exception to keep your student card and not cancel it. If you want to enter the university's trial space, you can do so at any time." Bai Xiaowen was a little moved. He stood up and said, "Thank you so much, Principal." Li Shi also stood up and thanked him. "Sit down." Yan Boyuan smiled and looked at Li Shi. "You also want to graduate early, right? Your student card will be handled the same as Bai Xiaowen's. Keep it for now." Then, Yan Xiaoxin talked about the compensation for the semifinals and finals. The items used by the members of the university team would be converted into points of power to be repaid. This was the compensation that they had agreed on beforehand. There was no need to elaborate. After talking for a while, Yan Boyuan stood up and said goodbye. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi walked the two of them out of Taoran restaurant. Bai Xiaowen. "Well, in 2 months, I can't call you Bai Xiaowen anymore." Yan Xiaoxin looked back and smiled. "Don't forget about the university team. When you become a big star in the professional league, you're welcome to come and teach us." A drop of cold sweat appeared on Bai Xiaowen's forehead. Of course, okay, let's stop joking." Yan Xiaoxin's expression became a lot more serious. "Let's keep in touch. If you have any difficulties, look for your alma mater." "Okay." Bai Xiaowen nodded. Li Shi watched Yan Boyuan and Yan Xiaoxin leave in the car. He sighed and said, "This is the best outcome. The university is really considerate of you. The principal is a good person." I usually like to analyze things from a rational point of view. Bai Xiaowen smiled and pointed at his nose. "I've already shown my value as an investment. It's normal for the university to make an exception for me to a certain extent. This is a favor. If Teacher Yan encounters any trouble in the future, just look for me and I'll do my best to help her." Can you not always be so realistic? Li Shi said. The university can't keep our student cards. Honor points can't be traded. We won't be able to finish spending them by the time we graduate. Wouldn't the university earn tens of thousands of honor points for nothing? Just the dozen or so spiritual realm tickets are already a huge sum of money. Bai Xiaowen shook his head and said, No, honor points can't be traded, but it doesn't mean that the tickets obtained from the treasure chests at the end of the trial space can't be traded. If the university doesn't keep our student cards, we can spend the last 2 months crazily exchanging for access rights and spending all our honor points to collect a dozen or so tickets. We can't use them ourselves, but we can sell them or give them away. For the university, the result is the same. Li Shi thought about it carefully. That was indeed the case. Although that's the case, I'm still very grateful for the university's convenience. Bai Xiaowen smiled and said, In the next 2 years, with the tickets we might get from the popularity lottery, we shouldn't have to worry about the spiritual realm tickets. I was worried about how to spend my honor points in the last 2 months. Now I don't have to worry about it, Li Shi said. I plan to use the title of the league to strengthen the practice of my specialties and skills. I want to catch up to my level as soon as possible. Bai Xiaowen agreed and said, That's what I'm thinking too. We should really settle down. Although our combat specialties and skill levels have improved during the league, there's still a big gap between them and our professional levels. Bai Xiaowen's all-around domination and Li Shi's warrior's star could quickly increase the proficiency of their skills and specialties. The aftermath of the CUAA League was far from over. Sister Jin collected Bai Xiaowen's competition videos and made a long video compilation. It caused a wave of viewing on the internet. Bai Xiaowen updated his template data in a timely manner. The virtual battle company cooperated with him to carry out a wave of publicity. The title of Strongest Intermediate Awakened spread like wildfire. Through Bai Xiaowen's updated template data, players found that Bai Xiaowen crushed the hero class represented by Ouyang Heng in terms of pure strength alone. In addition, the virtual battle company had a new plan. They planned to create a new skin for Bai Xiaowen, Jinghai University's captain. It was to commemorate Bai Xiaowen's feat of winning the championship in his first appearance in the CUAA League. This skin was said to be inspired by Bai Xiaowen's new equipment, Commander's Cloak. This mysterious full-body cloak was full of the aura of a boss. It was more domineering than the classic skin in the original art. At Bai Xiaowen's request, there was a magnified Jinghai University's emblem on the back of the cloak. Li Shi also received an invitation to sign a contract with the virtual battle company based on his outstanding performance in the CUAA League. He would log on to the virtual battle company's platform as an elite template character. As Bai Xiaowen's girlfriend, Li Shi would also get a skin. It was also from the Jinghai University's team series. The new skin and Li Shi's character would be installed in the next version update. They couldn't be bought now. This was normal. Within the first quarter after the release of version 97, Bai Xiaowen and the virtual battle company had signed a landmark VAM agreement. If the income of the Psychic Prince character skyrocketed, Bai Xiaowen's share of the profits would increase. It would be disadvantageous for the virtual battle company. It was better to release the skin now than to wait until the end of the VAM agreement and the share of profits had been settled. Of course, the virtual battle company would still do their best to make money. After the update, the price of Bai Xiaowen's Psychic Prince character template had increased to 15,800 points, which was equivalent to 158 yuan. The players who had unlocked the character were mainly Bai Xiaowen's fans and fans who were obsessed with appearances. They had gotten a good deal. Although the character's controls were complicated, the Psychic Prince character was too strong after the update. Most of the players who weren't familiar with the controls basically tied life sharing to Fatty Suture. With 720 health points, Fatty Suture had amazing damage reduction abilities. Together with life sharing, the effect was extremely terrifying. He was even stronger than tank-type heroes of the same level. His survivability was close to that of high-level tank-type leaders. If the enemy couldn't kill the Psychic Prince through the decapitation strategy, the army of summoned creatures led by the Wrath Claw would surround and attack. Almost no one could withstand it. Some high-end players who pursued extreme damage output and control would learn from Bai Xiaowen and tie life sharing to the Wrath Claw. At the same time, they would practice their multi-line control ability. Although such players weren't as strong as the former type for the time being, with the passage of time and the improvement of their skills, their room for growth would definitely be higher. Although the price had increased, the Psychic Prince template sales were still explosive. Within 3 days after Bai Xiaowen won the CUAA championship, there were hundreds of thousands of new sales. The revenue exceeded 20 million. Including the previous sales, it had already exceeded the milestone B. According to this contract, Bai Xiaowen would receive 30% of the profits. This was the treatment that a quasi-list celebrity character could receive. However, there was still about a month before the end of the VAM agreement for the first quarter. Chapter 598. There were only 2 months left in their university life. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shui followed the plan to train their combat skills and increase their proficiency in skills to strengthen their soft power. Both of them received titles that increased the speed of their proficiency. Bai Xiaowen's all-around domination had a better effect of increasing proficiency by 50%. However, Bai Xiaowen also had more combat skills to train. Li Shui's specialty was close combat. Under Bai Xiaowen's suggestion, she included her shield mastery specialty into the scope of her training. As for single-handed swordsmanship, Li Shui had already reached level 7, so the warrior's star title was useless. In addition, Li Shui's melee skills had shorter cooldowns, so it was faster to train. In comparison, Bai Xiaowen had more skills to train in. Not to mention the long cooldowns for switching between spells and deterrence skills. The skills that were useful to Bai Xiaowen in terms of combat skills were close combat, shooting, single-handed swordsmanship, two-handed swordsmanship, polearm weapon mastery, shield mastery, cogitation, and so on. This did not include some unpopular skills, such as lightning spell mastery. That's right, this skill was beneficial to skeletal demon arcane masters. Bai Xiaowen could only slowly arrange things according to his priorities and come up with a reasonable training plan. Although it was good to have the title of all-around domination, after choosing a specialty or skill, there would be a cooldown period of 7 days before he could choose the next one. It was not easy to switch between them. Li Beihai did not support Bai Xiaowen's decision to graduate early. Although he agreed that Bai Xiaowen already had the ability to compete in the professional league and that the Super Gods team had poor results and needed Bai Xiaowen to lead the team, Li Beihai did not want Bai Xiaowen to graduate early because of these reasons. Losing the resources provided by the university might affect Bai Xiaowen's growth. After learning that Jinghai University had reserved Bai Xiaowen's honor points and that she could enter the trial space at any time, Li Beihai was relieved. He instructed Li Chengbin to reach an initial agreement with Bai Xiaowen for an S-level professional contract. Sister Jing represented Bai Xiaowen to negotiate and finalize the details of the contract with Li Chengbin. Due to the relationship between the two parties, the negotiation process was completed in a relaxed atmosphere. According to Sister Zheng, this was the easiest negotiation she had ever had. Li Chengbin almost completely agreed to all the conditions that Sister Zheng put forward. The conditions Bai Xiaowen proposed to Sister Zheng were not high in terms of the contract amount and spirit points. Bai Xiaowen did not lack those. What he wanted was the independence of the Pro League teams. According to the terms of the contract, Bai Xiaowen's team in the Pro League would be self-recruited. The salary and psionic cultivation resources of every member of the team would be allocated by the team leader. They would be placed under the name of the Super Gods. The Super Gods only needed to invest according to the terms of the contract. They only had the right to make suggestions on the specific matters of the team. As for the amount of resources invested, it was related to the results of Bai Xiaowen's team. The better the results, the higher the amount of resources invested. Under Li Beihai's leadership, the Super Gods had a high degree of trust in Bai Xiaowen. With Li Beihai's personality, he he would not interfere with Bai Xiaowen's team affairs. The reason why Bai Xiaowen asked for autonomy and to maintain the team's independence was because the super gods were not decided by Li Beihai alone. They were assisted by a few senior executives. Bai Xiaowen wanted to maintain the team's independence now to avoid any trouble that might arise in the future. The senior executives of the super gods were not satisfied with the appearance of a country within the guild. Some people said that the autonomy given to Bai Xiaowen was too great, and there were no restrictions. If the team and the guild had a conflict in the future, Bai Xiaowen could even directly pull the team away and join another guild. The super gods could not do anything about it. No guild would give such a contract to a new member. However, in the end, these senior executives did not express any clear opposition. There were two reasons. Li Beihai's support was an important factor. He slammed the table at the senior executives meeting and listed the super god's predicament. What can we use to attract such an outstanding genius like Xiao Bai to join us? Don't think that it's natural for Xiao Bai to join the super gods. Now, the major guilds are practically trampling over their doorstep. Just pick any one of them and they're more powerful than us. The major guilds can give any general conditions, no matter how good the treatment is. What right does Xiao Bai have to join us? In addition to Li Beihai's support, Bai Xiaowen's excellence was also a factor that moved these senior executives. An 18-year-old CUAA champion who had just become a freshman was needless to say. These senior executives had also paid attention to Bai Xiaowen's CUAA competition and admitted that Bai Xiaowen was strong enough. Whether it was current strength or future potential, he was the most outstanding person among the younger generation of Huaxia in recent years. Huaxia's #1 student was willing to join a small guild like the super gods. How could there not be some special conditions? The signing of the contract went smoothly. After the official signing of the contract and the press conference, the representatives from the various guilds finally extinguished the thought of signing Bai Xiaowen. Their guilds could not give the super gods such generous conditions. Main position? They could give that. Future core? That was easy to negotiate. But as an independent team, no guild was willing to let the main team drift away from the guild's control. As the representatives from the various guilds returned home, Bai Xiaowen could finally have some peace and quiet to train in peace. Qinghai University's dormitory area. As more and more senior students found jobs, the dormitory building became more and more empty. Graduation season had arrived. The barbecue stalls and KTV outside the school were almost full every day. Every day, there would be drunk fourth-year students who would be supported or leaning on each other as they staggered back to their dormitory. Then, they would lie down like salted fish until 10 o'clock in the morning the next day. When they opened their eyes again, they would find another familiar bed. It was empty except for the bed frame. Every day, people packed their bags and moved out of the dormitory area, plunging into an unknown new life. This was the case for the students of the ordinary departments, and it was the same for the awakened students of the combat department. As the school's influential people, they had more gatherings near graduation. But there was one exception. Lu Fei leaned against the door of his dormitory with his arms crossed, watching two burly porters busily packing his belongings and carrying them to the trunk of the off-road vehicle outside. Classmates walked past him one by one, but not many took the initiative to talk to Lu Fei. They just nodded and passed. Did you hear? The school team won the championship this time. Yeah, it's like flying. Bai Xiaowen is probably the strongest among the CUAA students. Without him, the school team might barely qualify. Of course, Bai Xiaowen, this familiar name, once again stabbed Lu Fei's nerves. The painful experience of being expelled from the team once again appeared in front of his eyes. Chapter 599. 2 months passed, and the summer vacation finally arrived. In order to commend Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi for their contributions to the school team, Qinghai University allowed Bai Xiaowen to retain the right to live in the Taoran residence after graduation. He could also use the psionic training ground under Qinghai University without affecting the school team's training. This was a very good convenience. Super Gods also had a psionic training ground, but the space was very small and could only accommodate 5 people. If the number of people exceeded this, the training ground would become unstable and affect the effectiveness of the training. Super God's main team had also been using this training ground, and it was often full of 5 people. Bai Xiaowen had not yet established a league team, so he could not enjoy the resources allocated to his team by the guild in the contract. In this regard, Li Beihai specifically reminded Bai Xiaowen to confirm the 5 members of the team and report to the CADL, Huaxia Awakened Development League, before October this year, because October was the month when the league began. The Development League was commonly known as the Second Division League, and the English abbreviation was CADL. In contrast, CAA was the abbreviation for the First Division League. By the way, Super Gods was actually quite critical of Bai Xiaowen's decision to establish another team. This was because Super Gods was a small guild with few resources and weak awakened ability. It was impossible to support 2 teams, so it was better to integrate them. The results of the league would definitely be better. However, Bai Xiaowen's insistence, coupled with Li Beihai's approval, made Bai Xiaowen's independent team a reality. 2 teams in a guild naturally faced competition for resources. The main team, represented by Niakong, certainly did not welcome the arrival of competitors. Bai Xiaowen also did not expect them to take the initiative to allocate some of the training grounds quota to him. Now that the team had not been established, there was no reason to compete for it. He could only temporarily use Jinghai University's psionic training ground. In exchange, Yin Xiaoxin requested Bai Xiaowen to regularly guide the school team in their training. His summoned creatures were of various types, including melee, ranged, physical and magical types, humanoid and beast types, and they were the best training partners. In addition, Bai Xiaowen's tactical thinking was excellent, and he could guide the members of the school team to play to their strengths and avoid their weaknesses. In the past 2 months, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi's combat specialties and skill levels had been improving continuously. Needless to say, Li Shi focused on his combat practice. Compared to a year ago during the college entrance exams, her strength, agility, and physique had increased greatly. Her fighting specialty had also improved rapidly. She had reached advanced level 6, which was the same level as her own. After that, Li Shi practiced shield mastery for a period of time. Due to the short amount of time, he only reached advanced level 3, but it was enough. As for combat skills, Li Shi's combo slash had reached LV6, and savage charge and shadowless slash had both reached LV5. Among them, it was worth mentioning that Li Shi had drawn a normal enhancement effect from shadowless slash LV4. Dual blade. During the duration of shadowless slash, at least 2 slashes will be performed. If there is only one enemy in melee range, the enemy will take damage from 2 slashes. However, the damage from the second slash will be halved. The original shadowless slash was to perform 1 slash on all enemies in melee range. If there was only one enemy in melee range, then only 1 slash could be performed. Now, the number of slashes was reduced to at least 2. This meant that the damage output of this skill had increased by 50% when facing a single enemy. Taking into account attack effects such as critical hit, fiendish dance, mark of thunder, and so on, the damage output would be more than 50%. If there were 2 or more enemies, shadowless slash would not have any changes compared to its initial state. The requirements for a normal enhancement effect should not be too high. Bai Xiaowen's improvement was much greater than Li Shi's. The enhancement from the title Total Domination was double that of the Warrior Star. Moreover, Bai Xiaowen could share memory fragments related to combat specialties with his summoned creatures. He could quickly learn any combat specialties that his summoned creatures originally possessed. Shield Mastery had increased to LV4. This was already higher than the original Shield Mastery specialty of the Skeleton Sword Shieldsman. Fighting specialty had increased to LV6, the same as his profession level. Single-handed swordsmanship specialty had increased to LV6. Shooting specialty had increased to LV6. shooting specialty did not share the memory fragments of his summoned creatures. It was purely due to Bai Xiaowen's long time as an archer. He had accumulated the proficiency points bit by bit. At the end of the CUAA League, Bai Xiaowen's shooting specialty had reached 80% proficiency points of LV5. After that, he used the Total Domination title and spent nearly a week to train it to LV6. The above specialties did not take into account the bonus from the strongest academic genius. In other words, with the bonus from the strongest academic genius, Bai Xiaowen's main combat specialty could reach an astonishing LV7. Compared to LV6, it was a leap forward. However, Bai Xiaowen was in a state of leveling up. He had been using the Total Domination title and had not changed his title to experience the thrill of a LV7 specialty. Bai Xiaowen also wanted to practice his other specialties, such as dual-wielding swordsmanship and thunder spell mastery, but he could not do so. Let's talk about the dual-wielding swordsmanship specialty first. Currently, among Bai Xiaowen's summoned creatures, only the skeleton warrior used a dual-wielding sword. The skeleton warrior had not yet devoured the souls of powerhouses, so it did not have memory fragments of its combat specialties. Bai Xiaowen could only start from the basic dual-wielding swordsmanship specialty. After spending some time, it reached basic LV5 and automatically upgraded to advanced LV1. With Bai Xiaowen's current strength as LV6 awakened, it was very fast to train his basic specialties. However, the same could not be said for his advanced specialties. Bai Xiaowen did not continue to invest time in this area. During battle, due to the buff from the strongest scholar, the advanced LV1 dual-wielding swordsmanship would automatically upgrade to LV2. It was still somewhat useful, but it could not be used as easily as Ouyang Heng's. Similarly, there was the polearm weapon mastery. Bai Xiaowen could only start from the basic specialties. After reaching basic LV5, it would automatically upgrade to advanced LV1. Previously, Li Shi had joked that she would teach Bai Xiaowen the polearm weapon mastery specialty. However, that was just empty talk. Li Shi had learned the sword mantra before, but she had only obtained the polearm weapon mastery, which had advanced to level 1. She had never used it, so there would not be any growth. As for thunder spell mastery, the necromancer had devoured the soul of the Yellow Turban Army's great physician Zhu Ji. The necromancer possessed the memory fragments of LV5 thunder spell mastery. However, Bai Xiaowen did not have any thunder spell mastery, so he could not start learning it. Compared to the rapid improvement of his combat specialties, Bai Xiaowen's skill improvement was much slower. Deterrence was at LV5, Talisman switching was at LV4, and Wrath Claw summoning was at LV5. Apart from a further reduction in cooldown time, there were not many surprises. Even with the buff from the strongest scholar, he could not reach LV7. Naturally, there were no enhancement effects to be extracted. Chapter 600. In the last month of the first quarter, the sales of the Psychic Prince character did not fall off a cliff. Instead, the trend was quite stable. There were tens of thousands of people buying the character every day, and the sales were in the millions. If the first few days after the league ended were due to the popularity brought about by the CUAA Championship, then the hot sales after that were due to the reputation of the character. After the update, the Psychic Prince template was really too strong. After the first batch of players who bought the character showed off their skills in the intermediate arena, battlefields, and various levels, the players who had not bought the character saw the strength of the character and started to donate generously. Wave after wave of this spread, the reputation of the character and the sales naturally rose. Under the influence of the game, many players who did not know Bai Xiaowen before became loyal fans of the Psychic Prince. It was a virtuous cycle. Bai Xiaowen's international reputation did not fall. It was always above grade B. Those hardcore players who had gotten the template a long time ago and worked hard to study it also received rich rewards. They used the Psychic Prince character to quickly rise in the rankings. For example, Bai Xiaowen's fan, Wu Mingchen, could now control 4 characters at the same time. He could control melee, magic, and the psychic prince at the same time. He was very strong. In the intermediate arena, he had already reached the level of king. This was Wu Mingchen's first time at king. He was overjoyed. However, when he posted his thoughts in the virtual community, Wu Mingchen still wrote that he had not reached the upper limit of the psychic prince's strength. With his current level of 4 characters, he could at most use 70% of the psychic prince's strength. It would be harder and harder for him to improve. Without a doubt, this was a hero worthy of a lot of effort. Once he mastered it, he would be invincible. A group of silver, bronze, and black iron players posted crazily. Tiger Touch God expressed their approval. By the end of the first quarter after the new version of the virtual battle platform was released, the total revenue of Bai Xiaowen's Psychic Prince character was 156 million. Nearly 1 million players had unlocked this character. According to the milestone gambling agreement signed in advance, Bai Xiaowen reached the grade A milestone of 100 million. He would receive a grade A share contract with the virtual battle platform, and his share would reach 40%. This was a treatment only A-list celebrities could receive. That's right, on the virtual battle platform, the Psychic Prince character had already become a big star with his cool appearance and powerful strength. Currently, the only characters that could surpass the Psychic Prince in terms of the number of people unlocked were the classic superstar characters that had been passed down for a long time. At that time, Yuan Hongji, who was in charge of the negotiations and finally signed the VAM agreement, regretted it. However, signing Bai Xiaowen was tantamount to digging up a cash cow for the virtual combat company. Although Bai Xiaowen took 40% of the profits, the virtual combat company still took 60% of the profits. They only had to pay for publicity, but they still made a lot of money. The virtual battle company struck while the iron was hot. In the summer patch, they released Bai Xiaowen's Captain of Jinghai University skin. At the same time, Li Shi's Storm Swordswoman character, along with the gimmick of the Prince of Psychic couple, also logged onto the virtual battle platform. The Storm Swordswoman was priced at 1,800 points, which was 18 yuan. This was also in line with the price curve of the Intermediate Elite template. Many players unlocked the Storm Swordswoman character with the idea of collecting the couple's profile. Anyway, the money spent was not even a fraction of the Prince of Psychic character's price. However, the players who bought the Storm Swordswoman character quickly realized that they had made a profit again. The Storm Swordswoman was an out-and-out melee violent damage dealer. Her hand speed was amazing, and she had physical immunity or unselectable skills. Furthermore, she had the high explosive power of the Devil Fire Dance. Other than being afraid of magicians, she had no other shortcomings. If the opponent was not a magician, the Storm Swordswoman could play a greater role than the hero class. Following the release of the patch, Li Shi's global fame also rose steadily. Soon, it surpassed level E and reached level D on Earth. Moreover, this fame showed signs of rising further. Xiaowen, I remember you said that I didn't need to do live broadcasts to increase my fame. Did you think of this day long ago? At the dinner table, Li Shi asked with a smile. Following you, my global fame started from 0 and rose all the way to level D. There's even a possibility of rising to level C. It's too comfortable. Many awakened streamers can't achieve what I've achieved in a few months even after several years. I didn't think that far ahead. Bai Xiaowen smiled. Brother, you graduated early. Are you going to play in the professional league next? Xiao Jun asked curiously. Yes. Li Beihai took over the conversation. Xiao Bai, you have to speed up. There are only 3 months left until the start of the professional league. Your team currently only has 3 people. You're still missing 2 teammates. Do you want me to find them for you in the guild? Bai Xiaowen quickly shook his head. No, no need, what a joke. Even the main team of the super gods, such as Blade Nyakong, Bai Xiaowen looked down on them, let alone the other normal members of the super gods who couldn't even make it into the main team. Stuffing them into the team wouldn't be enough of a hindrance. But your team, Li Beihai wanted to continue but was interrupted by Li Shi. Dad, regarding the other members of the team, Xiaowen has already made up his mind. He plans to invite Xiao Rui from Swallow Capital University to join the team. Xiao Rui? Isn't that old Xiao's granddaughter? Li Beihai's eyes widened. He looked at Bai Xiaowen and then looked at his precious daughter. A trace of uneasiness welled up in his heart. Yes, she's a very strong support. Li Shi was not the least bit uneasy. He said naturally, with the addition of senior Xiao Rui, our team will have 4 people. During this period, there have been awakened who have been contacting Xiaowen through various channels, wanting to join Bai Xiaowen's newly established team. Is that so? Li Beihai was a little surprised. Bai Xiaowen said with a smile, basically, they're all elite professions. There are also some old foxes like Uncle Yao who have advanced professions. I don't plan to rush to agree. Anyway, there's only one spot left. It won't be too late to confirm the list in September. For the last spot, Bai Xiaowen would rather go without than have something substandard. He would rather find a reliable teammate. After Bai Xiaowen's outstanding performance in the CUAA Professional League and the news of his early graduation and the establishment of his own team, many awakened who wanted to ride his coattails contacted him. Chapter 601. In fact, the awakened ones and super gods who didn't join the main team also wanted to join Bai Xiaowen's team. They had already asked Li Beihai, the guild leader, through certain channels. At this time, the convenience of autonomy was demonstrated. Li Beihai directly pushed Bai Xiaowen's autonomy. Even though he was the guild leader, he had no right to interfere with Bai Xiaowen's team. As for the main team of super gods, it was obvious that they were hostile to Bai Xiaowen, who had decided to create his own team. Perhaps, except for old Yao, the other 4 had thoughts about Bai Xiaowen's team. Originally, they were the guild's only seedlings. Who else could they give all the resources to? But now, it was different. There was one more competitive team. Ho Zihua and the other members of the main force slandered Bai Xiaowen behind his back, saying that he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, and that he was biting off more than he could chew. Bai Xiaowen had also heard about this, but he didn't take it to heart at all. This wasn't to say that Bai Xiaowen was open-minded. It was just that he didn't see the current main team of super gods as competition at all. In Bai Xiaowen's opinion, it was a pure waste of time to compete with Ho Zihua and the others. Recently, Shi and I are preparing to go to the spiritual realm again. Bai Xiaowen said to Li Beihai. You're ready? Yes. Shi and I have been training our combat specialties and skills for the past 2 months. We're almost done. Our main combat specialties are basically the same as our level. The speed bonus granted by the title of the league is not very significant. We'll go to the spiritual realm to do a few missions and reach level 7 as soon as possible. This is a critical level. Bai Xiaowen said. Level 6 to level 7 is indeed critical. It means the leap from intermediate to advanced awakened. However, at this level, the experience required to level up is also very high. It's not something that can be achieved by 1 or 2 spiritual realm explorations. Li Beihai stroked his beard and recalled, when I reached level 7, I went to the spirit world 7 or 8 times. It took me almost 2 years. Dad, Xiaowen and I definitely won't take that long to reach level 7, said Li Shi confidently. The team that Shi and Bai Xiaowen had formed had a relatively high difficulty level every time they explored the spirit realm. They had also obtained a lot of experience points, which was almost equivalent to the experience points that others had accumulated several times. Li Beihai let out a muffled snort and changed the topic. Have you found any tickets to the spirit realm? Do you want me to buy one for you? There's no need for that, Bai Xiaowen said with a smile. My international reputation has been maintained at B level for 3 consecutive months. I'll try my luck at the lottery. If I can't get a ticket to the spirit realm, I'll go to the school's trial space. Queuing, please wait, entering the plane world, Emperor Tybran, who unified the entire Yaluan continent, has been sleeping for more than 300 years. The Lionheart Empire is on the decline due to internal and external troubles. After these two notifications, Bai Xiaowen's face showed a strange expression, but he still listened to the narration patiently. The warriors of the kings have returned at the end of the era. After the notification ended, Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi were temporarily in an independent space and did not immediately enter the plain world. This is the Yaluan plain world? You seem to have been here before, Li Shi said. Bai Xiaowen smiled and said, yes. A year ago, I had just become a quasi-awakened, and I successfully awakened in the Yaluan plain world. Speaking of which, I do have a bit of fate with this world. In Bai Xiaowen's mind, scenes and characters appeared one after another. The powerful and loyal Knight Commander Gloria, the greedy and sensible Chief Wizard Kevin, the elven sword dancer Lila Honya, who he had killed, Lord Glantis, who he had never met but was full of hatred for him, and the ambitious and ruthless Yusak. The notification of the spirit realm's rules sounded in a timely manner. Detected that awakened Bai Xiaowen has entered the Yaluan plain world for the second time. You can choose to enter as a free person. If you do so, the reputation and fame you have accumulated in the Yaluan plain world will be reset to 0. Chapter 602. Warning: if you continue to use the identity of Dior Kale Boom, the area you enter will be affected, and the generated main mission will also be changed. Hearing this, Bai Xiaowen immediately said, check my current fame and reputation in the Aaron Bitwall. Spiritual Realm Law Prompt Information: your current fame in the Aaron Bitwall is 109 points, D level. Your reputation in the Northern Empire's army is listed as hostile. Your reputation in the Northern Rebel Army is friendly. Bai Xiaowen narrowed his eyes. After a year, has there been such a big change? Originally, my reputation in the Rebel Army had reached reverence, but now it has fallen to friendly. Of course, a year has passed on our Earth time, but the time flow in the Aaron Bitwall may be faster, and more than a year has passed. If no Awaken has set foot in the Aaron Bitwall in this year. Li Shi said, has your fame also fallen? Well, it fell from 150 points to 109 points, not too much. Bai Xiaowen was still thinking about the changes in the Aaron world. Regarding the sudden drop in reputation, there is another possibility. The Northern Rebel Army has developed very quickly, and has become a large camp that can confront the Imperial Army head-on. The stronger the camp, the slower it will be to gain reputation. And the high reputation level obtained when the camp is weak will also decline with the strength of the camp, the passage of time, and other factors, unless Bai Xiaowen has been staying in the Aaron Bitwall to perform missions and gain reputation with the Rebel Army. The same situation was also in the Three Kingdoms Bitwall. When the Lu Royal Uncle's camp was weak, both the Royal Uncle's personal favorability and the camp's reputation rose rapidly. But in the later period of the Three Kingdoms, after the tripartite structure was formed, if Bai Xiaowen entered again, perhaps the Royal Uncle would only have a shallow impression of him, and the camp's reputation would also plummet. Bai Xiaowen also checked the favorability of the Aaron Bitwall's spiritual realm characters for Dior Kale Boom. The Northern Territory's Great Lord Glendis's favorability level for you is hatred. The favorability level of the Lionheart Empire's Royal Knight Commander Gloria towards you is cold. Yusak, leader of the Northern Resistance and Lord of Pointy Helmet City, has a normal affinity with you. Kevin, the Chief Wizard of Pointed Helmet City, has a cold affinity with you. Ralph, the commander of the City Guards of Elu, has a favorable impression of you as familiar. A series of notifications popped up. Bai Xiaowen touched his chin and shared the information with Li Shi. Xiaowen, how many big shots did you offend in the first plane you awakened? Li Shi smacked her lips as she spoke with a hint of admiration in her voice. Bai Xiaowen smiled awkwardly. Li Shi, can this identity still be used? If I continue to use it, won't I be hacked to death by others? Bai Xiaowen nodded, it can still be used. At least it's better than going in as a free citizen again. Seeing a hint of suspicion in Li Shi's gaze, Bai Xiaowen quickly explained, think about it. Even though the major characters of these powers either have hatred toward me, or their favorable impression of me is either ordinary or cold, they have all unlocked their favorable impression of me, right? This proves that they have an impression of Dior Kale Bloom's identity. It might not be a good impression. You've disappeared for a long time, okay. Bai Xiaowen waved his hand. Normal affinity is still better than being a stranger. At least we don't have to spend time getting close to them and gaining their trust. The mainstream in this plane values benefits. Even if they don't have a good impression, we can still work together. For us, time is money. After a pause, Bai Xiaowen said, more importantly, inheriting your original identity should allow us to enter the Northern Territory. After all, there's a rule that says inheriting your identity will affect your entry into the Northern Territory. All right then. Li Shi nodded in agreement. Bai Xiaowen then chose to inherit Dior Kale Bloom's entry into the Northern Territory. Li Shi was Bai Xiaowen's teammate. As Dior Kale Bloom's sister, he entered the Aran Plane. His name was still Charlotte Kale Bloom. After the choice was made, a soft light enveloped the two of them again. A slight feeling of weightlessness came over them. After the light dissipated, the scene in front of them froze again. It was a low and leaky hut. A cold wind blew in their faces with ice and snow. Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi's spirits were lifted. Ding ding dang dang, continuous metal collisions, as well as curses and shouts, drilled into their ears. Charge! Kill all these traitors! For the Yusak! Bai Xiaowen pried open a piece of broken wood in the hut and quickly glanced outside. There's a fight outside. Looking at the emblems, it should be the Imperial Army and the Yusak Resistance Army. In other words, our entry is still in the Northern Territory of the Lionheart Empire. This is good, and it's also in line with the purpose of inheriting this identity. If the entry area was in the hinterland of the Lionheart Empire, or even the territory of the High Elves, it would be a blind spot. It would definitely not be as good as the Northern Territory, which they were familiar with. The Spiritual Realms rules prompted, main mission, Return of the Brave, activated. Mission objective, kill a well-known figure in the Northern Territory and bring the proof of killing to the leader of the opposing camp of the target. Mission difficulty, A+. Mission duration, 15 days. Mission reward, unknown. Note, the target you kill in the Aran Plane world must not be less than level B, the template must not be lower than Commander, and the level must not be lower than level 7. The last note made Li Shi curl his lips. Spiritual realm characters also have a reputation system? How should we judge whether the other party has a level B reputation in the Aran Plane? Let's make an analogy. Bai Xiaowen said, on Earth, the main force of a strong team in the professional league generally has a level B reputation. In the Aran Plane world, it is estimated that the top generals of the two major forces can meet the target. After all, this is just an A+ mission. It won't be too difficult. Is this mission really only A+ difficulty? If I'm the only elite profession, how can I kill the leader? I'll be pissed to death. Li Shi said. This is a mission generated for our team, Bai Xiaowen said. If there is only one solo elite profession, the requirement to kill a well-known figure will definitely be reduced to the elite template, and the level will probably be lowered. While the two were talking, the Spiritual Realms rules prompted again. The Spiritual Realm ticket you used has been detected to contain a special prefix, challenge. You have received an elite challenge mission. Elite side mission, the secret of the monastery, activated. Mission objective, enter the mausoleum of the North County Monastery and investigate the sealed secret. Mission difficulty, S+. Mission duration, none, equivalent to the remaining time you stay in the Aran Plane world this time. Mission reward, unknown. It's an S+ level elite mission. Li Shi was taken aback. The waters of this monastery are so deep. I feel it should be related to my exclusive equipment, the Black Soul Stone. The Black Soul Stone was stolen from the North County Monastery. For this reason, a group of fanatical nuns chased after it. In the end, even the Emperor of the Lionheart Empire was alarmed and sent the commander of the Royal Knights. All signs indicate that the Black Soul Stone is not simple. This time, it is because of it that such an elite side mission was triggered. Do you want to accept it? Of course, Bai Xiaowen smiled. Isn't it just an S+ level elite mission? At most, it's equivalent to an A-level hero mission. It's not beyond our ability. Well, we've completed more difficult missions before, and now we're stronger. Li Shi nodded heavily. The two quickly chose to accept the mission, and then Li Shi asked, "There's still a fight outside, what should we do?" The main mission doesn't limit which camp we join, but I've inherited the identity of Dior Kale Bloom. I've made too many enemies in the Imperial Army camp. It's better to go the old way and join the Yusak resistance. After Bai Xiaowen finished speaking, he directly kicked open the wooden door of the dilapidated hut. He and Li Shi rushed out of the house. Who's there? A giant hammerman wearing a full set of chain armor had just smashed an enemy to the ground. When he looked up, he saw Bai Xiaowen and Li Shi and immediately shouted. The chest plate of the chain armor giant hammerman was engraved with the mark of a standing lion. Bai Xiaowen recognized the mark of the Imperial Army and immediately chuckled. He's one of us. With a bang, the hammerman was hit between his eyebrows. Vital attack, critical hit, critical damage, penetration, and desire to kill were all activated at the same time. The hammerman's skull was blown off, and blood mixed with brain matter splattered all over the ground. This shot also officially announced Bai Xiaowen's return as a member of the Yusak resistance. All the Imperial Army soldiers in the field regarded him and Li Shi as enemies. The northern region has changed so much in a year. These people from the spiritual realm are leveling up faster than me. Bai Xiaowen exclaimed. Judging from the fluctuations of the psionic particles, the Imperial Army hammerman he had just killed was at least level 7 with the common template. A year ago, the Imperial Army hammerman Bai Xiaowen had also killed was only at level 2 to level 3 with the common template. Of course, this was also related to the development of the world plot in the Aran Plain. The more intense and frequent the wars in the area, the faster the spiritual realm characters leveled up. Some famous spiritual realm characters leveled up as fast as if they were using a modifier after some special events. This point could be referred to the information collected by Bai Xiaowen about the Three Kingdoms plane world. No matter what level Liu Bei was at before he became the king of Hanzhong, he would immediately rise to level 7 after he became the king of Hanzhong. If his original level was higher than level 7, his original level would remain the same. After he became the emperor, he would immediately reach level 10. Of course, the historical event of becoming the king of Hanzhong or the emperor had to meet certain conditions before it could be triggered. If there was no territory and no soldiers, Liu Bei would not have the idea of becoming the king of Hanzhong at all. In the year that Bai Xiaowen was away, there were obviously many battles in the northern region. It was normal for spiritual realm characters to have such growth, not to mention that the Aran Plain had experienced more than a year. Under the scan of his mental power, Bai Xiaowen quickly obtained the general information of this battlefield. This was a small-scale battle. Excluding the messy auxiliary soldiers, lower than the common template, there were about 100 official soldiers on both sides. The Imperial Army had the upper hand in terms of military strength and had already surrounded more than a dozen Yusak resistance soldiers. When Bai Xiaowen scanned with his mental power, he had already found the position of the leader of the Yusak resistance army. He whispered to Li Shi, "Follow me. Let's meet up with the commander of the resistance army first." There were 2 Imperial Army soldiers with 5 or 6 auxiliary soldiers blocking the way. Bai Xiaowen raised his hand and summoned the Butcher, Skeleton Warrior, and Wrath Claw. The 3 summoned creatures took large strides forward. Butcher swung his barbaric strike with all his might, sending one of the Empire soldiers flying. Even his chest caved in. The Wrath Claw's continuous clawing and the Skeleton Warrior's charged slash also killed the 2nd Imperial Army soldier. A level 7 combat specialty, it really feels different. When Bai Xiaowen entered the game, he had already changed to the strongest scholar title. At this time, his combat specialty and single-handed swordsmanship specialty had both reached level 7. Controlling the summoned creatures in battle was also a pleasure for him. Bai Xiaowen felt that a level 7 specialty should be related to the rhythm of battle, which was completely different from a level 6 specialty. And he had the strongest scholar title. One of the hidden benefits was that he could experience the difference of a level 7 specialty in advance. The speed of growth of the specialty's proficiency would be increased. Li Shui smiled. She had already reached level 7 single-handed swordsmanship, so of course, she knew this feeling. Now that Li Shui had reached level 6 in combat, her footwork was more synchronized with the rhythm of her movements. She leaped through the crowd like a butterfly. Every Imperial Army auxiliary soldier was stabbed in the throat and fell to the ground. Bai Xiaowen once again summoned 4 skeleton warriors to protect his and Li Shui's flanks. The team was like a sharp arrowhead, piercing straight into the enemy's formation and pushing all the way to the front of the Yusak Resistance Army. Great Ista, you are also brothers of the Yusak Resistance Army. That's great! We're saved! A middle-aged man in a black robe shouted excitedly. He was holding a dagger in his hand. From the way he held the dagger, it seemed that the dagger was more of a consolation than an actual combat use for him. Yes, I am a member of the Resistance Army. My name is... Before Bai Xiaowen could speak, a slightly familiar voice suddenly sounded. Dior. Brother Dior, is that you? Bai Xiaowen turned his head and saw a tall and muscular man wrapped in heavy black armor. He held a large shield in one hand and a hammer in the other. This man looked familiar. Bai Xiaowen searched his memory and quickly remembered. He said in surprise, "You are Lorga." Chapter 603. Lorga's profession had been promoted to Heavy Armor Guard, a level 7 elite model. Brother Dior, when you went missing in the frozen cemetery, we all thought you were dead. I didn't expect you to survive. Where have you been for the past 2 years? Lorga asked with concern. Bai Xiaowen secretly paid attention to the time Lorga mentioned. It turned out that he had left the Yeren Plain for a year, and had been here for 2 years. Fortunately, the time span was not too long. I was lucky enough to survive, and I even met my long-lost sister, Charlotte. But now is not the time to talk about this. Let's kill these Imperial dogs first, and we'll talk about it when it's safe. Bai Xiaowen changed the topic. This also reminded Lorga, and he nodded heavily. Yes, I was responsible for escorting the messenger Obeyer back to Pointed Helmet City, but we were ambushed by the Imperial Army on the way. This is the Imperial Army's sphere of influence, and the enemy's reinforcements may come at any time. We have to deal with them as soon as possible. Okay. Bai Xiaowen waved his hand and said, "Protect the messenger, Charlotte, and I will kill the enemy's leader." The two asked for the location of the Imperial Army's commander, and pushed forward. The Imperial Army soldiers came to surround them, greatly relieving the pressure on Lorga and the others. Assemble. Bandage the wounded on the spot. The rest of you, follow me and cover Brother Dior's charge. Lorga shouted loudly. He was obviously the commander of this group of rebels. Do you know each other? The middle-aged man who was holding a dagger in self-defense, the rebel messenger Obeyer, asked. Who is that person? Now that the pressure was reduced, Lorga had the time to answer this question. His name is Dior Kale Bloom, a warrior of the Yusak. He once intercepted the Imperial Special Envoy with me and Ralph, and made great contributions. He was received by the Yusak. Back then, he was a trustworthy brother. I just don't know what he has experienced in the past 2 years. Can we still trust him? Obeyer looked at the army of undead creatures commanded by Bai Xiaowen and was still a little surprised. He's a necromancer? Yes, in Pointy Helmet City, in order to pursue power, Dior embarked on the path of enslaving the undead. Back then, he was just a rookie on the battlefield. Who would have thought that he would become a powerful necromancer? Fortunately, he still seems to be on our side. Bai Xiaowen's butcher swung his club and charged into the enemy ranks. Under the effect of decay, the Imperial Army's support soldiers' HP rapidly fell. When their attacks landed on the butcher's body, the damage they dealt was negligible. As for the regular soldiers, Li Shui, Wrathclaw, and Bai Xiaowen worked together to eliminate them one by one. The butcher's performance was quite eye-catching. He was like a tank. With his huge and sturdy body, he took almost all the damage for the team. Coupled with the slaughterhouse's HP recovery effect, when he charged in front of the commander of the Imperial Army, the butcher's HP was almost full. Damned rebels! The commander of the Imperial Army was an archer wearing a studded armor. Like Lorga, he was an elite. Under the protection of two elite chain-armored giant hammer warriors, he kept shooting arrows. The damage of a single attack was astonishing. Bai Xiaowen directly used the insight skill. Emil Hart, Elite Level 7, Race, Humanoid/Human, Profession, Secret Archer, Attributes, Strength 29, Agility 51, Constitution 24, Spirit 19, Skill 1, Scatter Shot, Omitted, Skill 2, Secret Shot. After charging, shoot a special arcane energy arrow, causing physical damage to the target and additional magic damage. Skill 3, Breath of the Wind, Passive, movement speed and attack speed increase by 15%. Skill 4, Veteran Level 1, health points increase by an additional 100 points. This secret archer was a standard DPS profession. Unlike ordinary awakened ones, the target did not have any movement skills such as backward jump or flash. Perhaps it was because of the protection of his comrades that he had to maximize his damage output. The target obviously did not pose any threat to Bai Xiaowen's powerful team. However, just as the butcher was about to charge over, the neighing of horses suddenly sounded not far away. A rolling stream of iron trampled on the muddy ground after the first snowfall and brazenly charged out. The leader of the cavalry was a heavily armored knight. He held his lance horizontally and charged at the huge butcher. Lance assault, launch a sudden attack in a direction. During the attack, the user's strength will increase continuously. The maximum increase is 200%. The group attack of cavalry was quite terrifying. Even the huge butcher would not be able to withstand this lance assault skill. He would definitely be repelled or even sent flying. Continue. Kill this secret archer first. Bai Xiaowen's eyes lit up. Without any warning, he directly used the deterrence skill. An invisible pressure spread out, enveloping the 10-odd knights who were charging over, as well as the secret archer Emil Hart. Bai Xiaowen's spirit had reached 69 points. This meant that all targets with spirit lower than 21 points would be stunned. Enemies with spirit higher than 21 points would still have to suffer the fear effect. Another thing that needs to be mentioned is that a cavalry unit consists of two units, the rider on the back of the horse and the warhorse under it. Although the warhorses of the spiritual realm were stronger than ordinary horses, their spirit could not reach 21 points. All of them would be stunned. Now, things were getting interesting. With a series of neighs, the warhorses fell to the ground one after another under the powerful inertia. The riders on the warhorses were sent flying forward, receiving minor damage. Knights with spirit lower than 21 points would not be able to wake up from the stunned state even if they received minor damage. However, the leading heavy-armored knight was a commander. His spirit was over 21 points. The control effect he received was fear. With this fall, he woke up from the fear effect. He quickly got up, threw away his lance, and pulled out his greatsword to block the butcher. Although this heavy-armored knight's appearance was very miserable, his commander's strength was not reduced at all. The butcher swung his club, but it was blocked by the greatsword with a clang. The heavy-armored knight skillfully spun the greatsword. Under Bai Xiaowen's control, the butcher immediately felt a surge of sticky force. The scepter almost fell out of his hand, revealing a big opening. The heavily armored knight took a step forward and attacked. With a simple thrust of his sword, he opened up a small wound on the butcher's fat belly. Fortunately, the corrosive poison had already caused damage to the heavy-armored knight. With the special effect of the poison Fang priest set, the heavy armor knight's damage to the butcher was greatly reduced. This thrust only caused a few dozen points of damage. Li Shi whistled past the battle between the heavy armored knight and the butcher. He had already rushed to the side of the stunned secret archer. His two swords crisscrossed, and the secret archer Emil Hart's HP rapidly decreased. The heavy armored knight roared angrily. His greatsword clashed with the butcher's scepter for the second time. Using the rebound force, he spun around and stepped forward. His greatsword whistled as it slashed toward Li Shi. This strike was fierce. Li Shi could only take a step back to avoid it. The secret archer commander Emil escaped death. After the stun effect of deterrence passed, Emil hurriedly led two chain-armored giant hammer warriors to hide behind the heavy-armored knight. He shouted loudly, "Sir Alberta!" Bai Xiaowen had already used insight on the heavy-armored knight Alberta. The other party's occupation was called Heavy Cavalry Commander. He had high strength and constitution. In terms of skills, he had two cavalry spear skills that could only be used while riding a warhorse. Now, they were useless. The heavy-armored knight Alberta nodded slightly. There was a trace of dignity in his voice. Has the mission been completed? It was about to be completed, but this necromancer suddenly appeared. Emil said curtly. "Sir, the messenger of the rebel army is in the east. He has already been surrounded by our people." At this time, the dozen or so cavalry brought by Alberta had already lined up behind Alberta. Under Bai Xiaowen's deterrence skill, the warhorses had broken tendons and bones. They definitely could not be ridden again. Alberta stared coldly at Bai Xiaowen. "Who are you, sir? Why are you helping the rebel army? I have never heard of someone like you in the rebel army." Bai Xiaowen smiled. "My name is Dior C. Kalebloom. I am a member of the rebel army. Who are you? I have also never heard of someone like you in the Imperial Army." He did not reject talking to people from the spiritual realm, even if they were enemies. It was good to be able to dig out more information. "I'm Alberta Maxwell, the commander of the cavalry under Prince Richard." Dior C. Kalebloom? This name seems a little familiar. Alberta narrowed his eyes. It's him. It's the criminal wanted by Lord Glantis. He murdered Baron Elliot. Secret archer Emil suddenly shouted. Alberta quickly recalled after this reminder. He stared coldly at Bai Xiaowen and said, "Stubborn rebel army, go to hell. All troops, attack." Notification from the spiritual realm, Heavy Knight Commander Alberta's combat skill, Encourage has been activated. Surrounding allies' attack power and attack speed are increased by 15% for 60 seconds. Bai Xiaowen had a flash of realization. He had left the Aran plane for 2 years, so why was his reputation still maintained at D rank? It seemed that Lord Glantis played a role that could not be ignored. A wanted order made by Xiaowen, a somewhat famous criminal in the Northern Territory. Since the battle had begun, there was no need to be polite. The Wrathclaw and the Skeleton Warriors charged at the front and blocked Alberta. Although Alberta's two-handed swordsmanship was very strong, the Wrathclaw's combat ability was not weak under Bai Xiaowen's control. With the help of the Skeleton Warriors, it had no problem holding Alberta back. The Butcher fully utilized his advantage in group battles and killed his way into the formation of the infantry cavalry. Every second, he was slashed by several sabers. However, his body was covered in poisonous gas, and every enemy within melee range was covered in a purple color. Not only was the damage dealt to the Butcher reduced by 30%, but their own health points were also rapidly falling under the influence of the poison. The other summoned creatures assisted the Butcher in clearing out the cavalry. The cavalry could not fully utilize their advantage in speed when fighting on foot, not to mention that their armor and magic resistance had been reduced by half by the Butcher's poison. They were as fragile as thin paper and fell under the combined attacks of the summoned creatures. The only long-range elite, Secret Archer Emil, was still being chased by Li Shi. If it were not for the help of the two chain-armored giant hammer warriors, he would have died. However, he still died. The one who attacked was Bai Xiaowen. He used the charm talisman to teach people how to behave and knocked Emir unconscious. The shadow assassin appeared behind Emil and activated its assassination skill. Vital strike plus double damage killed him. Without the threat of long-range attacks, the butcher, with his three-piece set, could do whatever he wanted on the battlefield. Every fallen Imperial Army soldier around him recovered his health. Bai Xiaowen then activated rapid fire to attack Alberta. His current long-range damage output was definitely not to be underestimated. With his high-level shooting specialty, the angle of the bullets he fired was even more difficult to predict, making it difficult for Alberta to block or dodge. The frequent hits from the bullets would occasionally trigger true damage from bloodlust, and the penetrating bullets that were shot every 4 times ignored armor. Even Alberta, with his high constitution and extra health points, couldn't take it and would groan every time. The soldiers under Alberta's command wanted to rush over to protect their commander, but under the butcher's corrosive poison, it was as if they had fallen into a swamp. Their movement speed was slow and they couldn't break through the blockade of the summoned creatures. When Alberta only had 1/3 of his health left, he finally couldn't take it anymore. With the swing of his two-handed greatsword, Alberta was like a spinning top, spinning wildly. The nearest skeleton sword shield bearer was sucked in and instantly turned into bone fragments that scattered everywhere. Battle skill, Blade Storm. The skeleton warrior also suffered a lot of damage, losing more than half of its health points in an instant. Bai Xiaowen quickly controlled it to retreat and avoid the whirlwind of death. As for the Wrathclaw and Li Shui, they had the advantage of high agility and were able to dodge even faster. This was also the result of Bai Xiaowen's preparation after seeing Alberta's skill. If he didn't know about this skill and sent a large number of summoned creatures to besiege Alberta, it would be over. However, Alberta's Blade Storm created a swirling airflow that spread out in all directions like small tornadoes. Every small tornado could cause damage similar to that of a sharp blade slash. Bai Xiaowen had no choice but to order all summoned creatures to retreat. He had already tried the Undead Demon Arcane Master's Lightning Strike spell, but it was ineffective against Alberta. Fortunately, Alberta wasn't invincible, and Bai Xiaowen's long-range shooting could still cause damage to him. 50% of the bullets would be blocked. This should be one of the special effects of Alberta's Blade Storm. However, half of the attacks still hit Alberta, and his health points slowly but surely decreased. Suddenly, Alberta stopped the Blade Storm, lowered his shoulders and lowered his head, and launched a final charge at Bai Xiaowen. At this time, the summoned creatures had already pulled away, and there was no obstacle between Bai Xiaowen and him. As long as he killed this necromancer, he could turn defeat into victory. This was Alberta's only thought. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.